You're listening to the N.W.A, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off-kilter, the professor, the godfather. Post-wrestling, the N.W.A, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest. It's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring, we invested in. Nubian kings and queens, we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.
And welcome to the NWA Podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the program all about getting color in the professional wrestling business. We are proudly presented by Post Wrestling, and we're back again, y'all, for our May episode. So many things happened this month, and we are excited to talk about the biggest news stories from the month. So we're not going to waste any time. We're not going to dilly-dally. We're not going to delay. We're going to keep it moving. So before we get to the biggest stories of the month, we have to let you know who we are. Of course, we are the Advocates. I am the Godfather, Nate Milton, a.k.a. your favorite podcaster, and I am joined by a man that so many of you know and love and respect. But he's also a man who's going through a rough time right now, folks. If you follow the National Basketball Association, you know this brother, much like Cody Devontae Rhodes, is going through some hard times, if you will, with his Los Angeles Lakers. But we're not going to let that gloom and doom disrupt the show this week. So let me bring on the Mayor Pro Tem of Los Angeles, California. Let me bring on the angry intellectual. Let me bring on the new co-host of the Kings of Sport podcast. There you go, quick merch shot right there. Let me bring on a man that some people call Mimosa Chris, some people call Moderna Chris, but I just call the Professor Kris Ealy. Can we rock? What's up, Doc?
Hey, what's up? You do hear me, right?
Yes, everybody can hear you loud and clear. So I hope you can hear the people out there when they are talking about this man, LeBron James, because I believe that's why you're probably feeling a little some type of way with your technical issues earlier, Chris, because you got into it with the infamous hater, Jermaine from Chicago, before we started the show tonight. So I hope everything is back to normal, brother.
I don't know what's up with sports fans. I don't know why we just can't keep it real. Like, we've been doing this Kings of Sport thing. You've been doing it for like 10 years now, right?
Yep.
I've been riding with you on and off for about 10 years. And I don't ever remember one time doing this show, even when Coach Tony Hill was there, where we blame the refs for losses or anything like that. You know, it's like your team loses, you take it in stride and you move on. And not everyone does that, you know. So yeah. As far as Jermaine's hating ass, like, all I ask is when we talk sports, just keep it real. You don't have to like LeBron James. You don't have to like him, but you got to acknowledge the dude. You know what I'm saying? Just acknowledge the fact that he is the best at what he does, you know, currently. You know?
Absolutely. And you know what, Chris? You talk about being the best at what you do, and one of the best at what he does has joined us. He is our nephew, ladies and gentlemen. He is one of the finest journalists in the game right now, but most importantly, he is our nephew. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson, once again. What's good, AD?
Can you hear me all good, sir?
We can hear you.
Appreciate it. Hey, man, I'm looking at the game right now, and I just pulled it up on my Google. It's a 4-hour flight from Los Angeles to Cancun. So it ain't gonna be that far. It ain't gonna be that bad of a trip.
It's a 10-point difference with like in the very first quarter, or the second quarter. Was it the first?
Yeah, it's the second quarter right now.
Second, so
yeah, you know what I'm saying.
We'll get one, I'm sure, especially since the Celtics just lost 2 home games.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the law of the averages is against us today. I don't see the Lakers and the Celtics losing 2 home games.
If we end up with Heat Nuggets, that is the series Adam Silver does not want, Andrew.
But I saw somebody tweet out. I think it was my guy Rich Staples, who I used to write on the site with him, and he said they're gonna stream that Nuggets Heat finals on Paramount Plus.
Right? Yeah, it's funny because if you can't claim that if the Nuggets and the Heat do make it to the finals, people got to stop with that referee blaming shit because nobody in the NBA wants that series. So I'm just saying, man.
That is true. But you know what we want.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was about to say, brother Nate. I know you was probably about to lead into it with your wonderful introduction. It's a lot of news, brother.
Yes,
a lot of news, man.
That's exactly where I was going, Andrew. Because Heat Nuggets is probably something that nobody outside of Miami and Denver want. But what everybody wants is the NWA podcast to get into this news, Andrew. And for those watching live on Saturday night, if you want to get into the conversation, if you want to have your voice heard, make sure to leave us some comments. But if you want to jump to the front of the line, if you want to be a VIP, then hit us with that super chat. Hit that super chat button, and we will get to your comments and questions and thoughts first. But Andrew, as you mentioned, we got a lot to get into, a lot that has happened, a lot that is on the horizon. So, I give you the control of the show, brother. Let's get into this news.
Man, it's so much going on, Nate. I can't get like it's like every time we do the podcast, like the next day, some happen, and then the week after that, something else happened, and then next thing you know, come the next NWA podcast, we got about 80 million things to talk about. It's and one of those things that we're gonna talk. We're gonna say this for later. But one of those things are somebody that's a reoccurring topic on this show. That man Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk, he done it again. Nate, he back in the
Muffin
news.
Man that did it again.
He back in the news. but we gonna start off, man, with that good sister Trinity Fatu. She is in Impact Wrestling. She debuted at their tapings in late April in Illinois. Just a quick little connection right there. That man Phil Brooks is in attendance. We're gonna talk about him later. But Trinity appeared in front of the crowd, man. Got a warm welcome as expected. She ended up in the segment with Jordan Grace and Impact Knockouts World Champion Deonna Purrazzo. Trinity had a great showing against her, and she had a match. I think it aired this past Thursday against Kylan King. Had a really great showing. A lot of rave reviews for Trinity. A nice showing for her in-ring debut. She revealed that she is going to be with Impact. She posted it on her Twitter. I believe she posted it on her Twitter that she posted like her schedule, her layout for the forthcoming months. And she's going to be with them through July, man, through the Slammiversary pay-per-view and at the their post pay-per-view television tapings. Nate, I don't know if you had them start off with you. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see the full match, but I'm pretty sure you probably saw clips and highlights and all types of enough to where you probably know what went on, even if you didn't get the opportunity to see it, because it was all over the place, man. And I wanted to get your thoughts about the reception of Trinity coming in, her revealing that she's going to be with Impact through the summer, through most of the summer, and the note that Mercedes Moné was in attendance, and she's the one that bought all the glow sticks for the crowd to have for Trinity's her first I think it's before her in-ring entrance. So she was the one that gave the whole crowd all the so it added to the vision. So it added to the visual effect of it when she debuted. So just your general thoughts about all that.
First thing, nephew, and I'll put this question to Chris as well. Do you know what you call that when you fly into town and you not only are there physically, but you enhance your friend and you support your friend? Do you know what that's called, fellas?
In this case, sisterhood.
Okay, Andrew says sisterhood. Chris, what you call it?
I got nothing. What is it?
Wow, the professor. This Lakers series really has affected the professor.
Getting ready for that L.
Chris a little shook right now, but yeah, Andrew, sisterhood is a great word, but I'll take it even one step further. That was a great display of unity, because that's what we've been talking about this whole time with these two, right?
Right.
Like just the way they supported each other, man. And so while I haven't seen the full match yet, Andrew, I did see like her debut in Impact, and I thought Trinity,
you basically saw it.
Yeah. Like I think Trinity just comes off as a star in this company, right? Like and we know Impact has a certain ceiling, Andrew, in terms of mainstream views. Like it's at a level where the shows are consistently good, but because of the damage done to this brand for years, it's at a certain level. But I think this is a good spot for Trinity, and it's good to know that she'll be here through Slammiversary. I hope the company takes advantage of her while she's here, that presence, that interest that she can peak in some of the audience. And yeah, like I'm excited to see what they do with her and to see what she does with this company, man, because we know she's good. We know she's talented, and I'm happy for her, man. Like just because, we all know the kind of the perception that some of the audience had about her and Mercedes when they walked out of WWE.
Still.
Right. That persists to this day. And so to see both of these sisters out here not only surviving, but thriving and flourishing, I love it, man.
Hey, Chris, I actually wanted to throw this to you. We just Nate just went into the reception that Trinity got when she came to Impact. I actually want to get your thoughts about Deonna Purrazzo, who's the Impact Knockouts World Champion. She had some comments about Trinity. She said this on an interview with Straight Talk Wrestling. She said, Trinity Fatu coming in really throws our mix of women and elevates us all completely. And I said to Trinity live in the ring, I know exactly how you're feeling, and I do. That was genuine because it's scary to go out, and myself prior to Impact didn't know if I wanted to wrestle anymore, or didn't know if this was for me, or if I did have a passion for this. And I really feel like she chose the right place in coming to Impact Wrestling, because there's no right and wrong here. You're out here getting opportunities and making history and getting opportunities to be whoever you want to be. And I'm so excited for Trinity to see who she chooses to become and how she elevates our division. And eventually, if we do meet down the road, whether it's for the Knockouts World Championship or not, how in turn she's going to elevate me, because I know she will, without a doubt. Chris, your comments on that. And in addition to that, Chris, we are we already passed it, but like we are a few days after the 1 year anniversary of Mercedes and Trinity walking out. Just your overall thoughts on Deonna's comments and us being a full year and where Mercedes and Trinity are. Mercedes, she's competing tomorrow night for the first ever NJPW Strong Women's Championship. I think it's a safe bet that she might get that strap, Chris. But yeah, just going back to Trinity, just your overall thoughts on that, man, and how you feel about things a 4 year removed from the walkout.
Yeah. I saw this segment on Impact. I do tape Impact. I just don't watch it every week, but I made it my business to watch that segment. You could tell there was a little nerves there, but it wasn't anything like bad. The crowd,
like good nerves.
They reacted to her great. She did feel like the biggest star in Impact, because let's keep it real, she is the biggest star in Impact at the moment. It just is the lay of the land right now. I think that Impact is a good place for her, whether she's going to stay there long term or whether it's just kind of like a place to rekindle her love for wrestling before she goes back to WWE or goes to NWA.
AEW, ain't going to NWA.
Hold on, player.
I'm flashing back to the NWA TNA days.
Billy Corgan giving Chris the scoops.
Whether she stays in Impact, right? It doesn't. Whatever she does, I think I think Impact is a good transition, or if it's going to be a good permanent home for her. I think it's good. I mean, TNA needs all the like mulligans it could get. It's better than it's been before. I mean, we've seen TNA at rock bottom. We've seen Impact at rock bottom. that's not where they're at right now. I think they've kind of settled into what their role is going to be in wrestling. I think it's
like you can argue they've been consistently good for at least the last 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, that's a good timeline.
I like my whole thing with Impact is, and I would concede that point too, because from what I've watched of it is, I mean, it's like you were saying earlier, Nate, it's such a tarnished brand, and they've got to build up a lot of goodwill with fans, and I just think I just think it's like the best she can do at this current moment. And I don't like fans on the internet assuming that AEW didn't want her and WWE didn't want her, because I've talked to a couple people that I know in AEW that have told me they vouched for Trinity. So I know that. So I know there are people that if she were to go to AEW that would love to have her. And I'm sure WWE would love to have her back too.
Yeah.
We can all recognize that situation that happened in WWE last year, whether you love it or hate it, or you thought they were unprofessional, or you thought they were this, or you thought they were that. Those women didn't act out until that moment. And it wasn't like they just all of a sudden got back creative and then went crazy.
It was a culmination.
They played so many games with Sasha Mercedes for like, having her giving her like 1 week title reigns and crap like that. They played games with Trinity. I mean, that's just what it is. So the frustration hit its peak, hit its crescendo, and they walked out. And they haven't told anybody. And unless you've talked to them personally, none of us know what the hell's going on. And I like it that way personally. I don't need to know what they did. I'd like to know, but I'm not like
clamoring for it.
I like the fact that a bunch of dweebs on the internet are mad that they haven't given any interview or whatever.
I'm about to say, Chris, and to your point, I think what that means, like they can. I mean, I think they would have every right to go out there and they could shit on WWE, and I think they would get a lot of praise for that. But I think I honestly think that them coming out and choosing not to publicly speak on it and sort of keep it to themselves and keep it amongst those who are in the know, I think it makes them look bigger than WWE when it comes to that exact situation. It makes them look like the bigger people. They took the high road, bro. And let me tell you something, bro. Black folk, we done took the high road plenty of times. A lot of times, too many times. But I think in this specific situation, I think that I think it's worked out in their benefit. It, honestly, like even looking at it just from not a non-wrestling, well, I mean, it isn't a wrestling aspect, but like it builds intrigue, like because people are always going to want to know, and the longer you keep it to yourself, like shit, you never, you know what I'm saying? They could. I'm not saying they using that for they there's a chance they an opportunity to use that to like tell it in a book or anything or a platform like that if they were to choose to go that route. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a keep it to yourself type of thing until you're ready to broadcast it to where if you want to just spill this entire thing, at least you will be able to benefit from it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a cool thing. But like just on the Impact front real quick, I think that when they said, I think that Impact has been like a consistently like really good product for like the last 3 to 5 years. Like I even look back at that Slammiversary 2018 pay-per-view that they had, but that was one of the best pay-per-views of the year. Shit, arguably probably the best pay-per-view of the year. It was a lot of like great wrestling that year. So, but I'm pretty sure that's but I think that Impact, they had one of the best pay-per-views that year, and they sort of built on that you know, since, you know, they had a little slip up, you know, with Tessa, who's on her apology tour right now.
Yeah,
but
even that, like it wasn't Impact's fault that they slipped up. Like that was a well-built show.
Yeah, it wasn't Impact fault. They I still remember me and you did that podcast, and we just believed that that, you know, she was what's that saying that people do when they she was going through it without acknowledging anything else that was on the, you know, that was on the rear end or whatever like that. But yeah, Trinity and Impact, man, I think that's a great spot for her. I think that she's gonna thrive in Impact. I think that they're gonna book her well. When you're talking about coming into a company, when you're looking at AEW or Impact, honestly, but I think that Impact was the better choice right now, because I think that she came in, she's going to be featured immediately. She is the biggest like name value talent that they got. Shit, probably in the men's division too. Like, she's the biggest name value in terms of like star that is like sort of somewhat crossed over into that audience that is not that like solely wrestling fans. Like, she, you know, of course, she was on the Total Divas show, so like that was a different audience as well. So I think that Trinity coming in, like they treating her like a big deal. Like they was like when the spoilers got out, they was, you know, posting clips and, you know, hyping the debut. Like but because of the reaction that she got from the spoilers, they had no choice but to, you know, like we got to jump on this, like promote her this week. Let's get her out there. And she got all the graphics or, you know, all her schedules lined out and stuff like that. So they treating her like a big deal. I think that for right now they're going to keep it. I think that this situation that they got going right now in terms of like there being like, it's just from now until Slammiversary. I think that's just you know, them. Well, maybe not even them. Just her not trying to like lock herself into something long term. You know, just keep it formal. You know what I'm saying? We can do this. Let's get these dates, and then after that date, after the Slammiversary, we can figure out what's next, and we can see what's going on with that.
Gives her options. Gives her leverage.
I think that if she opts to resign, they're gonna put the title on her, and honestly, from an Impact standpoint, that's a smart move. Like you can get these high caliber or you can get these programs in with Trinity right now, and you know it don't got to be for the title. It can just be, you know, get her in there, because she gonna get TV time, as she, you know, as we obviously saying right now. You gonna get that as she's facing Giselle Shaw at the Under Siege pay-per-view next Under Siege event next week. So you get these programs in, slowly build it, let her get some mic time, TV time, and then give her a big program for Slammiversary. Shit, maybe have her even challenge the title. And if she chooses to resign, then you can go back into it, and then we can talk about a potential title run leading into Bound for Glory. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's just smart business on both sides. But yeah, it's cool to see to hear that note about Mercedes paying for the glow stick, because that really added to the overall, you know, presentation of the entrance, man. So yeah, shout out to Trinity, man. I think she's gonna do some great things in Impact.
And she can make herself a hotter commodity than she already is in Impact, you know, because she hasn't been on wrestling for a little bit over a year now.
Yeah, Chris.
So she can have like good matches in Impact, and that'll catch buzz. And then if she does decide to go to one of the big two, she's going to be hotter than she was before she left. You know, I kind of feel like something like that was probably missing from Paige's return to the mainstream. You know, it's just she was hot when she got there, but I don't think AEW kept her hot. You know, that's just my opinion. But I think that
and there's less room on AEW's roster to get somebody hot and feature them like Trinity is going to be featured on.
Yeah, because AEW still doesn't like they like all the women in that company right now that don't work for ROH are in the same exact storyline, except for Jade. Jade is a little bit on the periphery, but I think she's going to be involved in that eventually too. You know, it's like.
Yeah, because I was about to say, like, when you were pointing about ROH, but the ROH women's division, they all book very well, bro. Like, very well. Like Athena is like killing it right now. Yeah,
bro. And that does make me question, like, is TK running ROH solely?
No, he is, bro. I think it's just a thing of like television. Like ROH is not on television, so he can just you know what I'm saying, you can just do whatever you want to do,
Right.
and like you don't got to worry about ratings and this and that. Like he can just book how he wants to book, and I think that's why you see the women's division and you see these like this influx of like new faces and different people and different matchups. I think that's why it sort of flows better than the television product, because there's a lot of different factors that you got to worry about when it comes to the television aspect. But with Ring of Honor, this is just a straight wrestling product. So you can just, hey, let's throw this out there and let's get this going and we can do this and X, Y, and Z. I think it's just a much more smoother process opposed to, you know, what we give to television. But like on the television aspect, like it seems like it's sort of been the formula for a while now. And people in the division have said this, like Britt Baker and those alike, they've spoken about this. Like you bring people in, they debut, get a hot program for a little bit, and then they get cycled out. And then like you have your mainstays in the division who you know, they can get in the storyline, and then, you know, that'll be going for like 4 or 5 months, and then they'll get cycled out, and then you bring the next crop in, and then it's like a rinse and repeat type thing. And honestly, like I know we're gonna get into this later with the Collision show coming up. I think that'll be beneficial as well to a lot of talents that don't really get the chance to get featured on Dynamite on a you know, on a program that's promoted more. But yeah, because I definitely think you got a valid point with the you know, the in terms of like the booking of the women's division, but I don't think it's like as like cut and dry. It's just like, you know, like it's just a matter of like, I think it's just the whole, like, again, like the whole television aspect of it, and, you know, versus ROH, where you can just, you know, do as you please and make it a more, you know, fluid product. So yeah, but you go ahead, Chris.
Before we move to the next story, I want to give a shout out to Will Washington.
Yeah, man.
Who
salute.
Yeah, who works who used to work for Fightful. I met him in LA when he was out here. We didn't really get to do a lot of I was not feeling well.
That's when you was going off the mimosas.
No, I was gone off I don't even know what it was, but I was sick the day before and the day before that. And I wasn't feeling 100% at Andreas's event. So but yeah,
Andreas Hale.
Yes, but he's working for AEW now. And I think that's a good hire of AEW. Just I wanted to get that out there because I mean, I think a lot of people in wrestling media don't know that, like, most of us are cool friends with each other, or at least cool with each other, right? They always think that there's like some inner battles, like the ones we don't get along with. I don't think we're shy about saying that.
There are reasons. There are legitimate reasons why we don't get along with said individuals or unsaid individuals or redacted individuals, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Coach Tony Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, salute to Will, man. That's big news.
Will Washington. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I just wanted to do that real quick. I would have did it at the beginning of the show, but I logged, like, the StreamYard people was giving me crap before I got on this thing.
Miles is blocking the signal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. but some unfortunate news, man, happened this week. Superstar Billy Graham passed away at the age of 79. His wife Valerie, you know, she continuously provided updates on him through Facebook, you know, for months on top of months. And, you know, he had recently been placed on life support. He had been dealing with an infection that spread to his bones. And, you know, he unfortunately, you know, passed away. A lot of praise for Superstar over the past week. Legends and fellow wrestlers and those alike, you know, shared tributes about him. Nate, Chris, any memories about the career and the life about the late Superstar Billy Graham?
Yeah, I'll go first, Chris. Like, so for me, like, his in-ring career, like, that was pretty much done by the time I started really watching wrestling. But, you know, being able to go back and watch, you know, some of these matches, some of these promos, and just like, he was a superstar. Like, dude popped off the screen. when you saw him, and was so influential when you think of guys that would come along after him, like a Scott Steiner, like Terry Bollea, Terrence from Florida. However you want to acknowledge that man.
Hey, real quick, did you see they covered his scandal on the TNT show, Rich and Shameless?
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Hogan versus
I'm
Gawker.
taping it, so I'm gonna watch it later.
Yeah, that show's not bad. I watched the Bison Dele episode.
I watched that too.
No, that was nuts. The Bison Dele episode where he got lost at sea and stuff, and then sad, one with that Joe Francis knob. That was a great show by TNT.
Yes, but yeah, Superstar Billy Graham, like he was one of those guys that really, I think, Andrew, you could say maybe his best defining accomplishment besides, just being this larger than life character, being this guy that a lot of people cheered for or booed, or being this guy that won all these championships. I think when you look at Superstar Billy Graham, to me, his legacy is going to be he kind of ushered in a new era, or was one of those guys that helped usher in a new era of professional wrestling, where prior to Superstar Billy Graham, you had characters, but you also had like a lot of dudes that were just like Joe Boots and tights. And we're gonna wrestle. I'm Vern Gagne, and we're gonna wrestle the Vern Gagne way. I don't know why I just took a shot at Vern Gagne. Why Vern Gagne out here catching strays on the NWA podcast? He's like 50 Cent. He's like, fuck me? Why fuck me? Like, sorry, Vern. I don't know Vern Gagne though, so who knows? He could be a terrible person.
About to bring him on the podcast.
Yeah, we go next episode. Vern Gagne next month. We're gonna settle the beef. But I feel like you had like a lot of guys that were just wrestlers, Andrew. And people like Superstar Billy Graham really brought that theatrical aspect of the sport to the forefront. And so, his accomplishments, his achievements, his influence on the business can't be denied, Chris.
No, it can't be. If you're talking about his wrestling career, yeah, everybody like ripped him off. Hulk Hogan did, Jesse Ventura did, Scott Steiner did. Everybody ripped him off in some way, shape, or form. He was you could definitely say that he was ahead of his time. When you're coming from because wrestling was never flashy the way that it was when Billy Graham was there. You did have your Gorgeous George types and stuff,
right?
But that was like, and Gorgeous George kind of relied on some really, very dated stereotypes.
Stuff that wouldn't play well today.
Yeah, by today's standards. And Billy Graham was just a great character. Back in his day, you could say what you want about his wrestling, but from a sheer character standpoint,
right?
He was good. They did try him out on commentary at the first SummerSlam. He wasn't the greatest at that. And that's just how it goes in wrestling. You could be great on the mic, but you might not be great at commentary, or you might be a great interviewer, but you might not be great like on the fly, just doing stuff, like be quick with it like that. And I'll spend a little bit of time talking about his post wrestling career, because he was on the Donahue show in that famous episode. I think it's still on YouTube with Vince McMahon and Dave Meltzer and all that, and he's making some pretty serious claims about WWE back then, and he's kind of gone back and forth with WWE over the years, always like just not consistent. He went into the WWE Hall of Fame, then he sold his WWE Hall of Fame ring. Hey, I don't blame him for that at all. But he did sell the motherfucker. He just, got the ring, got some cash for it, had the health issues. He's had them for a long time. I remember my uncle said that he's like, because I remember in 2005, when he first said he was dying, or he was, but he bought a a plot next to Eddie Guerrero's in Arizona, and then he just lived for another, what year is this? 2023, so 18 years. He stuck around, man. So
he was too sweet to be sour, Chris.
Yeah. My uncle had a joke about when he first said that. He said when he announced he was dying in 2005, and then someone else in one of the groups, I'm not going to name that person, but my uncle was like, man, that dude been dying since that Geraldo show. Or I think he said Geraldo. I think he meant Donahue.
He meant Donahue?
Yeah, but he was like, you've been dying since that Geraldo show. And I remember hysterically laughing at that. But yeah, he's got a complicated legacy like a lot of us do. But I think for the most part, Billy Graham's contributions to wrestling are far more positive than they are negative. Yeah. He went through the things that a lot of wrestlers of his day went through, and the wrestling industry could have been better to him, and maybe he could have been better to the wrestling industry, because he got chances that on top of chances that I don't think Vince would give to a lot of people,
Yeah.
Sure. I think Andrew, real quick, because he was Superstar was a little bit before me and Chris's times, definitely way before your time. So what, as a young buck, as somebody who came up watching Planet 51 by Jorge Blanco, young brother out here on these streets, what are some things going back and watching some of Superstar Billy Graham's work, or hearing people talk about Superstar Billy Graham, or reading about Superstar Billy Graham? Like, what was your impression of the man?
I mean, all I can do is like really go off of like what I heard. I didn't like necessarily go back and like watch much of like Superstar's work, but like I recently listened to it, and if I was covering some stuff for Post, and I heard Stone Cold Steve Austin talking about him, and he felt that a way that he phrased it was he felt Superstar should have been the first Stone Cold in terms of like popularity, as somebody that could have blew up. Like you mentioned, like I think he was talking about how Vince Sr. I think when Superstar was like he was a heel, and he was like sort of the crowd was like really starting to get behind him, and they was like really lifting him up, but for some reason they never like necessarily pulled the trigger on him in terms of like that big baby face run at that specific time. Right. And you hear a lot of different wrestlers this week. I saw a lot of different tributes, and everybody was talking about like how he was a big influence, and I saw some of what Chris mentioned about how a lot of wrestlers got their style from him, they got their presentation from him. One that I saw consistently was that man Terry out in Florida. Yes. Who we ain't got no love for in this NWA podcast. I'm gonna just say that. We're gonna say that, right? We ain't got no love for Terry, even though he got a little show on TNT or whatever like that. But yeah, man, that's all I pretty much knew about Billy Graham. Now, of course, I read and uncovered more as I covered his health issues over the past months or so on Post Wrestling, and it was very sad to see his wife have to consistently update the health. Update people on his health. That's very strong of her to do. But it's very sad that like the updates seemingly got worse over time. So you never want to hear stuff like that. And then I think when she posted a thing about the infection, I think it was it had spread to his bones and stuff like that. Like you never want to hear that for anybody. And then you read about him being placed on life support, and it's sad, man, to see. I'm pretty sure it's sad for anybody to watch the decline of a loved one like that, just go past. So my condolences, and I was pretty sure I can speak for all of us when I say my condolences to his family, his friends, and his loved ones, and to all the fans of Billy Graham. Definitely.
Right, and I do want to say this as well, because that was kind of a running joke online about Billy Graham, was that he never really passing away, but he was likely dying since the day he first said that he was dying, since probably those 90s days, because those steroids messed him up pretty bad, And sometimes like the biggest nightmare is you go through this torturous thing and you don't like, and you have to live with it for a long, long time, which is what something Billy Graham did. You know, he lived and he just did not, like, I don't think ever since he retired, I don't think he was ever 100% healthy.
Yeah.
Ever. He was probably going on like 50% health most days, even when he got into the WWE Hall of Fame back in 2004. He pulled through, but it wasn't like he was like the most healthy, spry person on the planet, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, they did
salute to that man, superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah, I'm about to say, just to reiterate one last time, man, condolences to Billy Graham's family, friends, and his loved ones, and all the fans out there, the superstar, man. I'm pretty sure he made a great impact on a lot of people. You know, we're going to throw one last dig at Terry, you know. One last little dig at Terry. I always got to throw the digs at Terry, man. But look at that. We
got an update.
We're getting them updates.
Yeah. I'm keeping him up, man. You know,
yeah.
It's a 3-point game last I checked. So.
Bracing for that L. It's coming.
Real quick, we see a lot of people in the chat. We appreciate y'all chatting. If you want to get your opinion to the front of the line, hit the super chat button. But I saw a name, Chris, that should be familiar to you and I. Ray Williams is in the chat, so salute to brother Ray. And the reason I bring Ray Williams' name up, Andrew Thompson, is because Ray Williams is now a member of the Kings of Sport team. He's a member of the Kings of Sport franchise. So. Chris,
the rebooted version.
The reboot, Kings of Sport 2.0. We go on polka dots and stuff out here.
2.0.
But yeah, so for those that didn't know, before Andrew gets to the next story, we got a new episode of the Kings of Sport out, and Chris is now the official co-host of the Kings of Sport podcast, taking over that mantle from Marcus Vanderberg. So we appreciate you, Chris, for stepping up, and also, gotta hit the plug here.
Hey, okay, the merch.
We got merch coming out, so stay tuned for the merch. You know what I'm saying? So we back up, Andrew Thompson. The Kings of Sport podcast is back in full effect. We got Chris riding shotgun. Ray is part of the team, and eventually when we can get schedules worked out, Andrew, we definitely want you to be a part of this too, brother.
For sure. You know I'm down to make some guest spots, man. For sure, I'm always down to help y'all good. And I much prefer you in the Kings of Sport shirt than that damn Cody shirt. That's
I got the Cody shirt right over there in the closet. I can go get it.
we gonna see Nate block out from the podcast. He gonna come back with the
Devontae fit on.
To make him say and speaking of Devontae, who was headlining the Backlash pay-per-view.
Let's talk about this show.
We ain't gotta like get into like the nitty-gritty of the show, because I mean it was a lot of stuff that went on, but there's one man who was the cover for the NWA podcast, I believe, this week, who showed out, man. Grammy Award winning artist, most streamed artist in the world. Bad Bunny came out. He had his San Juan street fight. Of course, this Backlash pay-per-view took place from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I just wanted to mention that real quick. And Bad Bunny had his San Juan street fight against that man, Damian Priest. And the crowd for this show was absolutely buzzing the whole night. We saw it for the Io Sky and Io Sky and Bianca Belair match. I know we talked about that when we was on True Hill Heat with SP3, I believe, brother Nate. And yeah, man, this crowd was hot for it, and Bad Bunny showed out, and Damian Priest showed out as well. I think that when you look at it, when it comes to like WWE, when it comes to like the pompous circumstance, when they on, bro. You know what I'm saying? When they on, they definitely on. And like that match feature, we got the mega pops from Carlito and the Allen legend Savio Vega came out there. Boy, you done thought Jesus walked out that joke the way they was acting about Savio. He got 2 mega pops when he showed up the first pop when he handed the kendo stick to Bad Bunny, and he got another pop when he came out for the for the physical portion of the match between Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, man. But Nate, I want to start with you first, man. We can sort of weave in your thoughts about Bad Bunny while talking about the overall event, but talk about like the crowd, the overall atmosphere, man, and Bad Bunny going out there, and he dude was killing it, man, killing him and Damian Priest.
I love this show, man. Like I feel like when we get to the end of the year, this is probably going to be one of those shows I go back to and talk about, because as you mentioned, when WWE chooses to do it big, they can do it big.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was even a little bit different from some of their other big shows, because one of the topics we've talked about from time to time on the NWA podcast, Kris and Andrew, is how do you deal with people's cultures in this company? And sometimes you get stereotypes, sometimes you get cultural appropriation. What I think we saw in San Juan a couple weeks ago was cultural appreciation, because that atmosphere, like, and I said it when I was on True Hill Heat, like, I think you only get that atmosphere in two places, and that is San Juan and Brooklyn. And that's it. Nowhere else you're going to get that atmosphere. And in Brooklyn, it's only if you let the Puerto Rican brothers and sisters get first dibs on tickets. That atmosphere was crazy. So I think when you look at that Bad Bunny match and some of the other matches on the card, I'm sure we'll talk about Chris's favorite match of the night here in a little bit, Andrew. But I thought they did a really good job of playing into and playing up to what that crowd wanted, giving the people what they want. It's a crazy concept, Andrew. If you set something up, give people what they want, they're going to respond positively.
Who would have thought?
So when you saw Zelina Vega get that reaction, when you saw Bad Bunny and Savio and Carlito get that reaction, the only thing I would have done differently is maybe, and we love Devontae on this show, Andrew. The only thing I might have done differently is made that the main event, because how the hell are you gonna follow that? Like, even with Rock and Cody.
So I'm about to say, just to chime in, I had heard this from Adrian Hernandez. He's an interviewer. He was I think I had read something about it on Twitter, where he sort of he was there at the event, and he was like, he said, I believe he said the reason that Bad Bunny went on when he went on and when all that happened was because so they can get
Lorraine Campbell, PR, HQVD.
Sorry, that's my aunt. I have to ignore her. Go ahead.
But I think he said the reason that they went on when they went on was because so they can get everything on the 10 o'clock news. And they can make sure that they get all that, that they can get all that press out. And, Bad Bunny did this, and
that makes
Kaka
sense.
and Carlito and Savio Vega and Zelina Vega, you know what I'm saying? So they can cram all the.
Gotcha.
They was able to get all that on the 10 o'clock news before the night was over, and replay it in the morning and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but so when you have that context, it makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Still, like, when you look, talk about just from a wrestling show aspect. You know what I'm saying? That would preferably be the main event. But when you have that, that additional context, it's like, okay, that makes sense. But Chris, I actually wanted to ask you, so Apple Music, they have released an interview with Bad Bunny, and he said the match, like, Chris, I'm pretty sure you've seen him do media and talk about wrestling before.
Right.
And Chris, I know you actually said this on the NWA podcast a couple of times, like Bad Bunny, he's like not one of those celebrity wrestlers who, like, you know how people when they talk about pro wrestling, like normally celebrities, they sort of speak with that sort of undertone, like you know what I'm saying? But
it's like tongue in cheek. Oh, this is just some silly wrestling.
I used to like it when I was a kid.
Exactly. They thought, but Bad Bunny, he never spoke about
Lorraine Campbell, PR, HQVD.
I'm sorry,
Chris got a lot going on at the crib tonight.
My
LeBron updates.
It's my Jamaican aunt, and I'm sure she's having wet issues because she's flying in from New York. So
okay.
So she's blowing me up. So I will
Christopher with the blood clot. Shout out to your auntie, man.
Shout out to auntie, man, flying in from New York. I say, what's the name? The Lakers about to be flying to Cancun in about a couple of weeks. I'm about to say, but Chris, like Bad Bunny, he never speaks about pro wrestling with that sort of undertone. And he Apple Music had released an interview with him recently. He said he was hurting like hell coming out of the match, felt like he was going to die, but he said that's a part of it. And the next thing up for him, he said he's about to drop a new song. So Chris, your overall thoughts about the the Backlash show and Bad Bunny's performance, specifically with Damian Priest.
Right. So I have to I'm gonna brush up on. I know I understand Spanish better than I speak it, but I want to say no me confronta si no eres un hombre. That's the Los Barricos theme right there. And I said this when we were on Sid's show on True Hill Heat. Savio Vega, he's someone we definitely got to get on this show. He's one of my favorite interviews I ever was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
That dude is so hilarious, man. I can't even like me describing how funny he is in an interview. And I'm gonna see if I can find that interview. I might have to ask Mike Knox about where it's at, because that dude had me laughing the whole interview, man. So to go back to what Nate was saying about stereotypes in wrestling, when I first saw that Rey Mysterio came out and he had the LWO shirts, I was not like the rest of the internet. I was like, oh shit. I was like, these just went to, they were in NXT, and they had were they businessmen or something like that? It wasn't some stereotypical thing. It was just like that. And so when I saw
they was kidnapping folks at first, Legato.
That was kind of, I don't know if that's more stereotype, but it's just silly.
Like the writers just got through watching Narcos. It's like, you know what?
Right, yeah. Or they was watching what's the spinoff to that FX show?
The Mayans, the
Mayans, yeah, FC. That's good stuff, by the way, too. If you ever see Mayans, man, you gotta watch that. But back to the point, I was like, what like, because this is just a trajectory with wrestlers. Even in NXT, they could be normal, and then when Vince McMahon gets them in the WWE, they have to turn up the ethnic stereotype with them, right? And it's not just a black wrestler thing. They do that with everyone. They did it with Apollo. You know, he was a regular wrestler. That's not good enough for Vince. You gotta be a spear chucker.
He was an athletic black dude with no backstory, Andrew.
Yeah, but he had to be a spear chucker. And speaking of fake Nigerian accent and have African drum fights. Even with what's his name, Walter. That's not German enough for us. You got to be Gunther, and and we got to just turn up the stereotype.
Poor Akira Tozawa, man, that brother.
Akira Tozawa, all of them, man. It's just, that's what WWE does. So I wasn't excited about the LWO thing. This stuff they did in Puerto Rico, and I wasn't even a big fan of Punishment Martinez, if you will. Having a fight.
Not you putting out his fake government.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of what he was what that match with Bad Bunny was going to entail, especially when I found out it was a one-on-one match. I was like, man, I don't want
because we were all talking about a tag match going into it.
Yeah. And I just didn't want to make them making that guy look silly. But the way they booked this and the way they laid this match out was just so great. And it did feel like some Puerto Ricans might have had their hands in this, right? And by Puerto Ricans, I mean Bad Bunny.
We'll just add in, Chris, Bad Bunny, Savio Vega had did an interview coming out of that, I think it was with Carter Hall, and he said that it was him and Bad Bunny who Damian Priest and Bad Bunny were the ones who suggested Carlito and Savio. They had their hands in that.
Yeah. You can always tell in WWE when someone from that particular culture is writing something. Remember that Teddy Long wedding? There was no way somebody white wrote that shit, man.
Maybe Jeff Hardy, maybe
possibly.
He said maybe,
possibly Jeff Hardy.
No, that wedding did not come from a white mind. That was somebody who's black. So that was somebody black.
You saying Vince didn't have Jagged Edge on the playlist?
Yeah, who knew about Jagged Edge?
Let's get married, pal.
Yeah, Bruce. You know
Bruce.
what I'm saying? Yeah. So this thing right there kind of felt like the Puerto Rican version of that, as far, but just way better.
Bro,
Like
Bad Bunny's interest was a whole concert, bro.
Yes.
And Bad Bunny, I've never like the wrestling aspect of Bad Bunny, not because he doesn't put in the work. It's just I'm not a big fan of celebrities wrestling that don't look like wrestlers. But Bad Bunny, I've always loved Bad Bunny's music, man. I'm a big fan of him as an artist. And the fact that he's doing this, you know,
he ain't got to do this shit
because he really doesn't have to do that, you know. And it's actually more of a risk to his own credibility than it is. It is like is that Cena talking?
Shout out to that good man John Cena in the building.
Yeah, what's he asking?
He sent in a donation. Shout out to brother Cena. He said, "Shout out NWA. What's your thoughts on Baby RZA?
Baby RZA. Who
Baby
Baby
RZA?
RZA?
Yeah. He's got to explain that to me because
I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
It's Bad Bunny, Baby RZA.
It's like some stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll go back to that. We'll go back to that, Cena, because I'm
Shout out to Cena for the super chat.
Baby. Oh, that's I think that's Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's son. I think.
Oh yeah, they named him that.
Yeah,
they
did
name him.
From the Wu-Tang. Oh, I said RZA. Baby
RZA. Yeah. I was like
Wu-Tang. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, my bad.
Wu-Tang is for the children.
Shout out Cena. Shout out. But I mean, I don't really got no thoughts on the kid name. But
that's a random question.
But I mean, yeah, I'm happy for.
We appreciate the super chat though, Cena.
Yeah, like look, if you send the super chat, we'll talk. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. So.
Shout out to Rihanna and A$AP on the successful birth of their child. There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
But yeah, that was but the stuff that they did with and that's why that lawsuit that they were in the middle of is so important, because WWE does not know how to book ethnic people. Vince McMahon knows how to book ethnic people to the stereotypes that he understands about them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, like he didn't understand Keith Lee, because Keith Lee didn't talk black enough to the dude. He was like, "You're big and you're bad, and I don't understand. Like, why do you talk like that?" You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and that crap is horrible in 2023. You know. So I'm glad that the Puerto Ricans were able to shine on that show, not just in that match, but Zelina Vega, she did her thing too, even though she didn't win the match. Yeah. I do think the Puerto Rican crowd is gonna want to see her again, and I'm looking forward to more. And I'm not. Everybody was saying that they should do shows in Puerto Rico every year. I'm not against that, but I do like the specialness of that show. And I do think if you frequent Puerto Rico too much, they could fall into those stereotypes. I hope they don't. But I just know WWE, you know what I'm saying? And I just don't trust them to be consistent with these people, unless Bad Bunny just, you know, puts his foot down and says, "Look, this is how we got to do it," you know, which he probably will. And
they gonna listen to him.
Yep,
they gonna listen to him. I said Bad Bunny came on SmackDown with the WWF logo on his on his jacket, and I bet you ain't nobody say a damn word to that man.
Yeah,
I'm about to say, but moving on to our next story, fellas. Phil Brooks.
Oh, hold on, Andrew. Hold on. Time out. Because I don't know.
Phil Brooks.
We gonna make the people wait just one more second for the Muffin Man. Because here's the thing, Andrew. because I don't want to leave this beautiful island without talking about one thing that happened on this beautiful island, Andrew Thompson. Now y'all know me. Y'all been listening to me here on Post Wrestling for years. Y'all been listening to me on the Kings of Sport for years. So you know what I do. I work in broadcasting. I worked in radio. I've worked in TV. I've worked in customer service jobs, Andrew. One thing I've never been is a veterinarian or a zoologist. I know animals, but I'm not like somebody that's an expert on animals. I see animals and I'm like, you know what? I see that's a dog, Andrew. A dog just walked by. That's a dog. Or, hey, that's a cat. Or that's a squirrel. I can recognize animals, but I'm not an expert. But I do know when I was watching Backlash, Chris, and we got to this match between Seth freaking Rollins and the Nigerian giant Omos. When I looked in the ring and saw that man Omos, my animal brain kicked back in, and I was like, you know what? That's a goat right there, Chris. That's a goat that we watching in the ring. This man Omos put on a banger with Brock and put on a banger with Seth. Kris Ealy, you've been talking bad about this man for years and years. What you got to say about Omos now, Chris? This man Omos came out here and put on a classic with Seth Rollins, and the people in Puerto Rico respected it and acknowledged it. Will you respect and acknowledge this man Omos, Chris?
Explain yourself, fool.
Yeah, we should probably move on to the next topic because that ain't happening.
Wow, you're not gonna get a brother credit for that match, Chris?
I mean, he, Seth Rollins did his thing to get a good match out of that guy.
It takes two to tango, Chris.
It does. I mean,
it takes two to make a thing go right, Chris.
Right? Yeah. Look, man.
Chris said, "Let's move on the field."
I will say this. I do. I think this, and this goes for, and this is. I'm just telling y'all right now.
Hey, everybody in the chat, screen record this right here. Hold on. Give him like a 10-second delay.
I'm not about to pay any compliments or anything like that. So you can give up that ghost. But I do think that Omos, Austin Theory, and a few of those other guys that the internet isn't the biggest fans of, I do think they're going to get world title wins. Even what's his name, the YouTube dude,
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. I think they'll get world title reigns before the year is up. Maybe not Roman's belt, but that gold that
the World Heavyweight Championship.
That World Heavyweight Championship that you love so much, Chris.
Yeah. Let's not. That's another conversation for another day. But I do think this. I do think that WWE looks at those people like the future, for better or for worse.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here
Chris
first.
with the prediction.
Chris not only said Omos is the future, Chris said Omos is a future world heavyweight champion. Ladies and gentlemen,
that's up there with his Dwayne Johnson at the Royal Rumble prediction.
Homo sapiens rise up. Professor Chris could be coming an Homo sapien, y'all. I feel it.
Yeah, there's a rumor, a rumbling right now that they're expecting The Rock at WrestleMania in Philly next year.
Here you go.
This man Chris.
we gonna see what's up with Dwayne, man.
But yes, Andrew, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I know you good. The people needed to know what Chris thought about Omos's outstanding performance. So let's go from this future world champion, as Chris has crowned him. Let's go from Omos to the Muffin Man, brother.
To the one future world champion to the collision champion, Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk. That man is back in the headlines. As we talked about, I think it was on last month's episode. It was all signs pointing to CM Punk being at the debut of the now officially announced AEW Collision on June 17th. And it was reported by multiple reputable outlets that the planned venue for this show was the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, and that venue was booked. Some things happened this week, fellas. So this week, it was reported by well, first of all, I just want to mention that AEW they were a part of the upfronts, the Warner Media on front, and that all went down. And shout out to that sister Jade Cargill, man. She was front and center on the little poster and stuff like that. Jade was right there, the face of the face of TBS, you know, and all that good stuff. Shout out to Jade, man. But yeah, it had been reported by Nick Hausman of House Wrestling that there was we know about the reported sit down meeting that involved CM Punk and Chris Jericho. And according to Hausman, during that meeting, Jericho suggested the idea of Ace Steel coming back to work at AEW. Ace Steel, as we all know, the longtime friend of CM Punk and producer, former wrestler, who is the individual who allegedly bit Kenny Omega and threw a chair at Nick Jackson during the brawl out at All Out. Hausman independently reported that Ace was rehired by AEW several months ago, but has been working remotely with Tony Khan. There was an understanding in place that Collision, that once Collision was official, Steel would get back on the road, but he has not gotten back on the road. Word got back to Punk. There was some miscommunications involving lawyers, and then all of a sudden, Punk was no longer a part of the Collision announcement. FOW Online's Dave Meltzer did his own reporting on the situation, and he noted that Punk, that Tony Khan told Punk that Ace Steel could work remotely, but would not be at the Collision tapings, and that's when things sort of took a left turn. Now we talked about this last go around the United Center. What was the planned location for the debut of Collision on June 17th? But Meltzer had reported that AEW has been in contact with Daily's Place in Jacksonville about that being a backup venue for the show. I think it's kind of clear if it is indeed accurate that they've been talking about, talking to Daily's Place about that being a backup show for the debut of the Collision. That if it doesn't happen at the United Center, we can assume that something fell apart with with the communication with CM Punk, and if it is taking place at the United Center, then we can Punk's probably more than likely going to be there, and I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't run the United Center because if you were to run the United Center, everybody's going to think that CM Punk's going up. So I can only imagine
if you run that without Punk, it's a wrap.
I don't think it's going to look good. I don't think the AEW crowd would crap on it, bro. But I think it'd just be like a dead show. I think they would be so disappointed if he didn't show up. But yeah, man, Tony Khan's going to be making the official. He announced the the next I think 4 or 5 or 6 days for Collision shows, but the date for the debut show has not been announced. He's going to make that announcement next week, I believe, on Dynamite. So, Chris, I'm gonna throw the lob to you first, man. Your thoughts about everything. And I know that Nate, you said this before in the podcast, man. Like CM Punk, he is indeed a draw. That's not disputable. CM Punk is a draw, but when you bring CM Punk, you got to take the good with the bad, man. And it's like sometimes is it worth it? And Chris, I wanted to actually add this in. Like, of course, we saw the reports about the roster split between the Collision people. The poster gonna be a Collision. Like you got the running joke is you got all the knuckleheads or Collision. You got your Andrade, your Miro, your Thunder Bros. It's like, and I say knucklehead in a jokingly way, but like
no, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean. But yeah, just your thoughts about all that, and I'm curious to also know, Chris. Like, when I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now, but it's a lot within this. But I'm curious, like, if you were Tony Khan and you were in his shoes and you have this brand new show, I'm going to assume, Chris, that you would want all hands on deck. And when I say that, I mean the elite, I mean the Blackpool Combat Club. But now it seems like you're going to get a specific group of people, and while that may be good, because you'll have people that don't regularly get that TV time or Dynamite that gets featured on a high level. You would think that you would want to have everybody available for this show.
Right. So the first things first, I'm going to push back slightly to one thing. If they do have that show at the United Center and CM Punk isn't there, those fans will turn on the show. I think it will be a full-fledged turn on that show if they do that, just because of the drama that they've been going through with CM Punk since he's pretty much debuted. I think those fans want to see Phil, and if they don't see Phil, they're going to turn on that. They're not going to be happy about that. So now that that's out the way, as a business psychologist, I've worked mostly with a bunch of different organizations to kind of fix problems I've never been the head of a team, but I've always been a part of a team. I do it more so with politics now, but there was a time where I did this with regular businesses, and I honestly just don't understand anything that's going on in AEW to make this make sense to me. You know, like the Ace Still thing is kind of interesting to me because I'm
that's interesting. Like especially the rehire for months part.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is like they've already kind of acquiesced to Punk in a lot of different ways, and this is the one thing that TK is putting his foot down on. It's just kind of interesting to me. Because to me, it doesn't matter unless you just, I mean, I don't think that Ace Still is a serial biter. I mean, you know, I guess if you bite one motherfucker,
right?
Who's to
the
say
potential is always there for future biting?
Future biting.
Yeah, that you'll be biting other people and stuff. But I think the thing is like, and I haven't tried to reach out to any wrestlers to ask them about this, and if I did, they probably wouldn't tell me anyway. But I don't like I'm hearing TK is not being transparent with talent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem because you always want to be at least transparent with your talent. You could tell your talent not to go to the media, but they need to at least know what's going on. I do think that at the end of the day, CM Punk is gonna be re-debuting in AEW at the United Center and I'll tell you why for one thing. The WBD people were already regretting that they said that he wasn't associated with the show. And then the very next day they were like, well, we shouldn't have said that. And they're saying that I think that TK and Punk will work it out. And the translation to that to me is y'all better work this shit out. I think this is an edict from up top.
Yeah,
yes, probably David Zasloff is like, you know,
you this new motherfucking show. He better show up.
Right.
yeah. But I think he's showing up. I do like the brand split stuff. I don't, you know, it's whatever. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. They're coming on Saturday night, so I don't know if they're like going to be directly competing with us once a month or what's going on with that. Or,
they don't want these problems.
Yeah. So we at a certain point, this seems kind of childish. From, you know, and I think TK needs to kind of get a hold of what's going on, and just assuming he doesn't have a hold of it, because I don't know, none of this shit is making any sense to me at the moment, but it doesn't look good optically speaking, you know. These people are in a position where they need a guy like CM Punk. And to me, if all it was the Ace Still stuff, to me, that's like an easy fix. And like, are you telling, and this is what I need to know too. And then I'll pass the baton to you, Nate. There's a way you could communicate with wrestlers where you're like, look, this is how it's going. This is how it has to go. And I understand you guys have problems with this. We can talk about those problems, but this is how it's got to go. And I'm not saying just do that to the roster, say it to Punk. You got to talk to people and let them know the reality of whatever situation is. You know, if you're splitting rosters because the Bucks don't want to work with Punk and Punk doesn't want to work with the Bucks. This is starting to become like kind of stupid because like in the Bucks, and I said this on SP3's show and he kind of kicked back at me, but I stand by this. If you are gonna call yourselves EVPs,
you gotta bite the bullet, bro.
You gotta work with this guy. To me, it's like it's one thing if John Moxley said, "I don't want to work with Punk." John Moxley is a talent, and you can arrange that. And it's just like, yo, these are two co-workers, and they don't want to work with each other.
Right.
You are an EVP. That means you are management now, and you do not have the luxury that talent doesn't have. You are in a place where you are in charge and you are a part of the management team. You need to get over whatever the fuck you got going on that's going on. And I think TK has, if he doesn't want to hire business psychologists or organizational leadership experts, he's got to do something, because this is very, very silly at this point. Yeah.
For me, guys, there's a couple things. Number one, if this show does air, like if it lines up like on the night that we're doing the NWA podcast, like in the Muffin Man return, that would be amazing. That would be the most ridiculous show in the history of the NWA podcast. I'm just gonna put that out there. But here's the thing: a couple things. Number one, to Andrew's point about the crowd reaction if Punk does not show up at the United Center, I do think there will be some like what the hell? This ain't what we signed up for. It's almost like this time, maybe 15 years ago, Chris, where I went to Busch Gardens here in Virginia to go see New Edition in concert. It was supposed to be all 6 members of New Edition: Andrew Thompson, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Ralph, and Johnny. All 6 of them boys. And when I bought my ticket, drove up to Busch Gardens, sat down in the amphitheater to watch this show, I got Ralph Tresvant and 2 members of Belle Biv DeVoe. Like it was a good show. It was a good show. Like Ronnie and Ricky, they had the steps with them. But that ain't what I paid for, Andrew Thompson. And I think if you are the audience and maybe to the larger point, if you're WBD, who is going through a lot of shifting landscapes at the moment, you want this guy, CM Punk, to be part of your brand because of the star power. Yeah, he comes with headaches. Yes, he's difficult to work with at times, but this is a guy that moves the needle, and you want this guy in your organization. And so every time we've talked about this, Andrew, I've always kind of been consistent with this. Like, to me, it makes the most sense for Punk to return. It makes the most sense to launch this new show with Punk as, like with Rampage. It was like the first or second show Punk came on, and that really kind of established what Rampage was going forward. And I think if you're Tony Khan, you have to be the bigger man. You have to be the boss and get this sorted out. Also, if you're Phil Brooks, if you're the Muffin Man out here on these streets, Chris, I'm doing it. If I'm Phil Brooks, I'm doing it. Just because it's like this only makes me bigger, right? Like y'all needed me. A couple months ago, hold on, Chris. A couple months ago, we talked to Emilio Sparks, and one of the best moments of that conversation with Emilio was when he talked about the 5 heartbeats.
Oh yeah,
In this situation, CM Punk is Eddie Kane Jr. Can't nobody sing without old Eddie Kane. Y'all need this man to be the front man of this new show. And I think if I'm Punk, I use whatever leverage I have to get the best deal for me, but ultimately it's best for both sides, Chris, to work together.
That man CM Punk going around like he David Ruffin from the Temptations. Ain't nobody come to see nobody else.
Ain't nobody come to see you, Nick and Matt.
Can we highlight the super chat real quick?
We can bring that up here in a second, Chris.
Like this is the wrestling business.
I about to say, let me read that real quick, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead. Read it.
Black Mega Man sent in the $5. Shout out to you, brother, for the super chat. He said, if you 3 were members on the roster, what do you think TK would have you? The main show, Dynamite, or the Bad Kids show, Collision? Hey, bro, we'll definitely be on Collision Saturday night. We'll definitely
all 3 of us, Collision originals.
That's funny.
Then the great follow-up from Black Mega Man as well.
Punk equals Bobby Brown. Say his name.
CM Punk, the Bobby Brown of AEW.
But this is the thing, though, and the issues. And here's the thing with all that stuff. CM Punk, the stuff with CM Punk. When I've heard of real issues with like other artists, like the Eddie Kings, he's fictional, but Eddie K. Bobby Brown,
David Ruffin,
all those people. These people had like serious like drug problems, and shit like that. The stuff that people are CM Punk. These complaints are starting to seem like middle school kind of shit. It's like,
so what you're saying is, going back to Black Mega Man's comic, Chris, is it's Punk's prerogative, right?
Yeah. It's like, well, the thing with Punk is
he don't need permission to show up on Collision. It's his prerogative.
I think you can reasonably argue that Punk is a dick. You can reasonably argue
that's reasonable.
But the issues with Punk are personality clashes.
Right.
It's not something. This isn't a guy who's doing drugs, and this isn't a guy who's messing around with every woman on the roster or anything like that.
He ain't out here biting people.
He's not stealing anything.
Stealing. Look at that. Yeah. That's a nice little wordplay right there.
He's not doing like I think the issues with Punk are things that could easily be rectified if effort was put in. I'm just keeping it 100% real. Like, because there's people in wrestling who issues like take forever to work out, and they still manage to find their way back in wrestling. Like, how does Hulk Hogan like continue to come back to WWE?
We know how.
How the fuck does Doc Hendricks still have a job in WWE? Like, how is that even possible? This dude, and I wrote about this in my article. He's on record getting suspended for telling Mark Henry that he's a bigger N-word than him, and he's still in a top position in WWE.
It's different out there on Bad Street, Chris.
Right? Yeah, and I say all that to just say, like this Punk stuff is
in comparison is very minor to some of the other stuff that's out there, that people that still have power ranking positions. Yeah, I get what you're saying for sure.
Right? Yeah. So it's like, why can't we figure this out? You know, it's all I want to know.
When I'm looking at it, I think that it's a matter of, and I'll sort of go back to a point that I've said like repeatedly on the show when it comes to like Tony Khan and CM Punk. I feel like Tony Khan has to put his foot down at some point and establish you ain't gonna say firm talking like he's some damn child or something like that, but I think at some point you gotta nail the hammer in, and you gotta, you know what I'm saying, put your big boy pants on and talk to him and let him know. You good, Chris? My bad.
No, you're right. I think it's a matter of just saying, because I don't think Tony Khan has an authoritarian leadership.
No, he ain't confrontational.
And that's not something should demand out of him. That's not who he is, and that is perfectly fine.
For sure.
But you have reached the point where you do have to talk to these guys, these talents and stuff. Say, if you're the boss, TK, say this is how it's got to be, CM Punk.
Yeah.
And part of management, Chris, is knowing how to work with individuals on your team. Like, right, how you talk to Hangman Page might not necessarily be the way you need to talk to CM Punk, right? We know this dude is old and honorary. So you got to talk to him as you would an old honorary man and get him to see the value of working with the team, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
And if he's not like coming on board the way that you want him to come on board, then maybe you should cut bait with him. Then maybe that's the option. And and just accept it. You know what I'm saying? But you can't keep doing this back and forth to people. You can't do this to the fans because you're gonna start pissing them off. This fool Tony Khan, a couple weeks ago, not even last week, a couple weeks ago, made an announcement that he was going to have an announcement next Wednesday. When the next Wednesday came around, that announcement was that he was going to have a fucking announcement for the next Wednesday. Like, what in the hell are you doing, my dude? Like, what's going to happen the next Wednesday? All right, so that
Daly's place.
And this two announcements. So now I'm gonna make an announcement that we're gonna have the ultimate announcement.
The ultimate announcement, Chris.
In 2 weeks time. You know what I'm saying? This is stupid. TK.
He said the ultimate announcement.
Yeah. And then when he gets to the ultimate announcement, he's gonna be like, okay, we're here, and now I just gotta make an announcement that in another 2 weeks, we're going to have the mega announcement. Stop the shit, Tony Khan.
Flint Tropics are going to the Mega Bowl.
Like, how many times can you do this, my dude? Like, seriously.
Hey, so real quick, just on CM Punk, man. Like, I think that just going back to what I was saying. Like I think that Tony he does need to like put a firm foot down. Like even going back to looking at the All Out press conference, bro. If Tony would have just been like leaned over and maybe even like moved the microwave or snatched the microwave and been like, bro, you need to like shut the hell up. Like you need to shut up. Like you doing a lot right now. You need to relax. Like if you want to say all this, at least wait till we get to the back and then you can say whatever you want to say and why ain't no camera rolling around and why. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think that AEW, they have even looking at from what's being reported about Ace Steel being rehired back months ago and stuff like that. They are accommodating a great deal to CM Punk to make this work. Like this dude is essentially what we think is being billed as the centerpiece of this entire brand new relaunch of a brand new show. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they're doing as much as they can to accommodate to him, but I think
probably gonna be on the cover of the video game whenever the video game comes out.
But like even looking at but I think that when you have the other side on the other side of the fence with the elite, like I think that like we all said, like how Chris mentioned about the them being EVPs, I do think that it is specifically in a situation like this, you do have to bite the bullet if you're the one that's in the position of power because you're the executive vice president of this company. Like and if I was Tony, bro, I would want, again, all hands on deck for this show. I don't need a hard roster split like that. That can be good in a way where you can get people like, you get Powerhouse Hobbs on TV more, you get Swerve Strickland featured more, you get X, Y, and Z featured more. Like that is great. That's the great part about that. Like you can keep, you can have enough for assumingly everyone. But I think that you would just want to know that, hey, if I wanted to bring Omega and the Bucks over here for Collision, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? If I wanted to have Punk on Dynamite this week, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having everybody on a set position when it's all a collaborative effort. You know what I'm saying? So I think that with Tony's position, man, like he's going to have to eventually sit these individuals down and tell them how it is and not be of and not be of that mindset where he's like, well, what do you guys think? And how do you think this is going to work? I think that he needs to just sit them down straight up, bro, and just be like, this is what's going to happen. This is what I need y'all to do. If you're not with it, then I don't know what to tell you.
There's the door.
There's the door. You know what I'm saying? I think
he's got to tell them that this is how it has to be.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's the main thing for Tony in this specific instance. I think that going forward with this Collision show, I definitely think it's gonna be hot to start, especially if they are able to secure Punk for this for this debut show. Like it's gonna be hot. And especially with all the new programs and stuff like that, man. But I just think that going forward, like once we get past that sort of initial stage, if he is indeed on that June 17th show, once we get past that initial, you know what I'm saying? Like you need to sit this dude down and sit maybe the other people, not necessarily maybe together, but like on different nights or whatever like that. And you need to tell them what it is.
The wrestling industry operates in a weird way because there's like when you're like a wrestling talent, sometimes your value isn't into like when Cody Rhodes left, for example. Cody Rhodes exhausted his value in AEW as far as the talent is concerned, not the backstage stuff. I still think they need Cody for that, the shit that's going on right now. But as a talent, it was time for him to leave because he could go to WWE and get a fresh coat of paint, and people care about him in a different way. Like with Sting, when there was a time, I think you both might remember this, in 2010 when it was, the rumor was that it ended up being Triple H, but Sting was going to fight Undertaker at that year's WrestleMania. That was year,
2015.
Yeah,
2015,
yeah. That year, Sting. And then you found out he re-signed with TNA, and people were just like,
okay.
Yeah. And it didn't mean anything because he was in the same place doing the same thing. And going to WWE would have meant a fresh coat of paint. The Bucks and Omega are in a contract year, if I understand this correctly.
Yeah, they are.
They have to. They either gotta what's the saying? Shit or get off the pot. It's like if you want to stay in WWE or you want to stay in AEW, stay in AEW and be confident. TK is gonna always have something for you. If you want to go to WWE, then negotiate a contract and go to WWE and make as much money as you can, and understand the risks that goes into going to WWE. But I do think if they did go to WWE, they would get that fresh coat of paint. I don't think they tired them. I don't think they played themselves out in AEW the way, I love you, Devontae, but the way Cody played himself out.
It was time, bro.
Yeah,
it was time.
His last.
I mean, to be fair to Devontae though, after you eliminate racism, what is there left for you to do?
Yeah, exactly. That is.
You can't do no more.
There's nothing else.
That was the Jordan shot against the Jazz in Game 6. It's over.
I wasn't thinking about it in those terms, but you're absolutely right. But I mean that's the thing. It's like, and I think that there's so many layers to this story that it's ridiculous. Because I know that part of TK's thinking is he doesn't want to lose 3 of his mainstays to the competition.
4. Well, Hangman too. Hangman, fuck around. And, you know what I'm saying? You never know.
They could go there and be the new Radicals or whatever, right?
Exactly.
But there comes risk with being the new Radicals, because only 2 of you could be Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. The other 2 of y'all are going to be Perry Saturn and Team Malenko, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's risks that come in all of this, man. They need to sit down right now in a room and talk about
no A Steel, please.
Right.
Yeah, no A Steel. I'm talking about just the EVPs without Punk also, and just talk to Tony Khan about their future in AEW. And when you start, and then when you hit free agency, talk to Vince as well. You know, hit free agency, talk to Vince as well, and see what the best thing for you to do is in your career.
But
if you're
bro, that's gonna be such an interesting time come like later this year, bro. That's gonna be one of the most interesting talking points of wrestling. I mean, for all we know, they probably could have like already reached a new deal with Tony for real. But like, I think it's gonna be so interesting come like at the end of this year when you start to see those reports about like, could they be free agents? Because I remember when that Cody news first broke, everybody was like, "What? Cody? What, you about to dip out on AEW?" And then like that's when you start thinking, and it was like, "Oh, he got to head back to WWE." And then but three or so months later, he was back. So I mean, you never know, but there is. I think there is always a possibility of either people from either side, from either AEW or WWE crossing over. I think that's always gonna be. It's always gonna be interesting to cover. Always gonna be interesting to talk about and stuff like that. So from
an athlete's point of view, like how many like not just wrestlers but people in general, how many people hit free agency and stay where they're at? Not a lot of people do that. And I think that Tony Khan wants to avoid them even getting to the point of free agency altogether.
Yeah, conversations being held and all that. Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Because that's exactly what Cody Rhodes did. Like Cody Rhodes, and nobody thought he was gonna go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, it was Cody had did. I remember Cody did an interview. I think it was leading up to WrestleMania. He was like, when he first left AEW, he said he went to go meet Vince, and I think he went to go meet a couple other people at WWE, and he didn't sign a contract like that first day he went to be. He said he just wanted to go, you know what I'm saying, just go check it out and, you know, hit some offers and stuff like that. And I think that once you start like getting once that door is open to where you start talking numbers and like you start talking about what this could be like, then the intrigue starts to get. And I think that
that's exactly it.
And I think if you get to a point with Omega and the Bucks and Hangman, whenever his stuff is up, if you get to a point where that door is open and like they can speak to a Triple H or to Vince or whoever it may be, and they start talking about like, well, would you like this number? Would you like these dates? What does this look like? What does your future here look like? Then that's when it's like, now they got options, and they already got options. But like, I think those options intensify once you start actually having those like real face-to-face or phone-to-phone conversations.
Right? Yeah. Like, what if like Vince McMahon is like, I mean, they're bigger than they've ever been. What if they're like, how does $12 million a year sound to you? You're not gonna hear anything else after that, right? You know what I'm saying? You're just gonna hear the dollar amount that was offered to you, right? And maybe you don't make a decision that once you let it settle in, you know, you go home, talk to your wives, talk to whoever, then you make a decision to see what's best for you, you know. And I think Tony was smart enough to realize when they let Cody Rhodes go to WWE that there wasn't any Cody Rhodes needed to go to WWE because he needed a jolt and he needed something, man. It wasn't working out in AEW from a talent standpoint, you know.
For sure, man. But we definitely gonna see, fella, because we got about a couple weeks left until Collision. So
as a programming note, Andrew, our first episode that month, or our only episode that month, is going to be on the 24th. So the week following the debut of Collision, we'll be live here talking about it. So we gonna have some things to talk about, Andrew, one way or the other.
And it's a 10-point game. The Nuggets are winning. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Cancun.
Know what's going on?
Booking them flights, baby. Let's go. The Nuggets Heat 5 on Paramount Plus about to be hitting different. I'm telling you.
Everybody get your subscription ready to watch this NBA Finals.
I was about to say, man, but like we ran down the top. I got one more thing. It's crazy. It's crazy, Nate, Chris, because we are hour 38 to the show. This might be the most precise show that we have ever did if all goes right with this last story. But real quick, we ain't gonna see each other until to like mid-June, late June, so whatever it is. But we're gonna do some double or nothing predictions. That show is next weekend. Okay. And then we got 9 matches on the card. I'm assuming they probably gonna add probably like 1 or 2 kickoff matches. But we for the most of it, we got the main the main mix going on right now. So I'm gonna just throw some throw the matches at y'all, and y'all can tell me what y'all think gonna happen and who you think gonna win. I added 9. I think y'all say yours. And for first up, we got the Firm. We got Ethan Page, Austin, and Carlton Gunn versus the Hardy Party, Isaiah Cassidy, Jeff Hardy, and Matt Hardy in a 6-man tag match. If the Hardy Party wins, then Matt Hardy will own Ethan Page's contract. Brother Nate, who you think got this one?
Here's the thing, like we talked about that good brother Jeff Hardy, who helped write the Teddy Long wedding segment earlier in the show, and I'm inclined to say the Hardys will win. I'm just tired of Matt Hardy being involved with people's contracts, man.
Yeah,
he been doing that shit for like a year,
for a minute.
Yeah,
like
they had Snoop Dogg on TV getting involved one time.
Yeah, I'll say the Hardys win, but I'm not excited for this contract thing with Matt and Ethan.
Nah, me neither. Yeah. The Hardys will probably win since they're newly formed and they got Jeff with them. But yeah, this is just more of the same silliness.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mark Quinn makes his return here, and he helps Isaiah, Jeff, and Matt get the W. I think Mark Quinn been out for a little half minute, so I think we'll see him rejoin this Hardy party or whatever they got going on, and then I think that's when we'll see Jeff and Matt sort of go their own way, and we'll see the reformed private party go their own way, but they'll still be connected in some way, shape, or form.
I do appreciate the diversity in the Hardy what is the Hardy compound now is what they're calling it?
They just call them the Hardy, but they were the Hardy family office, but that was like a section of it.
I like I do like the
Jeff, Matt, and Isaiah.
I think this is a good, and even what's his name, Hook. I think this is I think if you do this faction right, you can have these people matter. It's just I don't trust TK to do it right. So until he does,
So next up, we got FTR Dice. I want to Cash Wheeler defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships against that man Jeff Jarrett, probably one of AEW's turning. But I'd have never thought Jeff Jarrett would have turned out to be one of AEW's best signers. But here we are. We got FTR Dice winning Cash defending the AEW World Tag titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal with Mark Briscoe as the special guest referee. Both sides are trying to win that man Mark Briscoe. Who you think walking out with the AEW World Tag titles?
Oh man, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed kind of the stuff going on.
I know you love it, Double J. I know
Lethal, Jarrett, the Briscoe, Mark Briscoe. But the thing about this man, Double J, Jeff Jarrett on these streets, Andrew Thompson. Some people call him, one of the smartest people in wrestling history.
Yeah.
Some people call him, one of the luckiest people in wrestling history. I call him the Beyonce of pro wrestling, Andrew, because he's a survivor. This man, Jeff Jarrett, they done tried to bury this man, throw dirt on this man's name time and time again, Andrew Thompson, and he keeps on coming back. At the end of the
he done threw dirt on himself a couple times.
He done threw dirt on himself a couple times. When we're all gone, Andrew, when the world is bathed in nuclear radiation and the only thing alive is Twinkies and cockroaches, or Twinkies ain't really alive, but they'll be around. Jeff Jarrett will be there eating Twinkies and stepping on cockroaches because he's a survivor. You can't get rid of this man.
Right. One of my Go ahead.
Hold on, Chris. I ain't even make my prediction yet. That was just a preamble to the prediction, brother.
Oh yeah.
But I like this. I'm inclined to say Jeff and Lethal, but there's a part of me that feels like this is leading to something bigger with Briscoe and Lethal, or Briscoe and Jarrett.
Right.
So I'm gonna go with FTR retain.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with that as well. I wouldn't mind if Double J and Jay Lethal won the belts, though. I mean, that'd be interesting. I do. And Jeff Jarrett reminds me of one of my favorite X-Men, one of the most underrated X-Men that there is. I think he's probably been in one movie, Darwin, because Double J knows how to adapt to survive, man. He really does. Like, there was a time where you can make a sound argument that he was like the second or third most powerful man in wrestling, you know, because nobody else had a company. It was Jeff Jarrett, and he was able to.
He just had an executive job with WWE last year, and now he's an executive at AEW.
Yeah. So he's able to adapt to what he needs to adapt to. Shout out to Jeff Jarrett, and I think, and I do think he's. Like, whatever role TK has him in backstage, I do think it's working for. I think it's a symbiotic relationship. Is what I want to say.
Yeah, I'm gonna say FTR retains. I think they're gonna do some type of finish where Jeff and Jay, they get the win, but it'll get like it'll get rescinded. It'll get like brought back, and then they'll go
Dusty
back to like
finish.
Dusty finish. They'll go back into the match in the FTR, get the win and stuff like that.
And then Lethal and Jared will be pissed off at Briscoe.
Yeah. And that's how it's going to rock. And then Mark Briscoe will go in his big baby face run. But yeah, next up we got the ladder match for the AEW TNT Championship. We got Wardlow defending against Christian Cage. Fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and start off this one. Christian Cage is about to get his. It is time. It is time, bro. Hey, real quick, go check out Christian Cage interview on the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel from a couple years back. Check that out. Check that out. Go check that out.
Check out the Double J one too.
Check out the double. Hey, I'm about to say, hey, Chris, when we talked about here in the state, but Jeff.
Yeah.
But yeah, who y'all think will take this? Y'all think it's time to Wardlow about to drop the TNT title to Christian Cage? For real, I don't even know why he took the damn belt off Wardlow, but I mean, off Powwow's house.
Yeah,
but, But here we are.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. Like, I think they took the belt off of Hobbs prematurely, but I can't believe I'm gonna say this, Andrew. I think I might be swayed to your side of the argument. Christian coming off of that Andrew Thompson interviews bounce he's gonna get that bump. He's gonna get that push that the Andrew Thompson interviews gave him, and he's gonna take it to the top, climb that ladder, grab that brass ring and that gold belt, and become your new TNT champion.
There you go.
Right. I think that AEW, their original talent just hasn't hit the way they want it to hit, and I do not see any issue with Christian getting the TNT belt. I don't care about it anymore because
that's the belt that's meant to be changing.
Yeah, it just goes back and forth. It gets hot potatoed all the time. So what can you do at this point? Why not give it to Christian? And
fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, and hopefully Christian can bring some mainstream eyes to the product, and that's how you use guys like Christian. Like, that's how they use Jericho in the beginning. People know who Jericho is. People know who Christian is, and then you use that to highlight the younger talent. And get them over more.
Chris, that I'm glad you said that, because you actually just put a thought to my head. I think that Christian's going to win the TNT title, and then he's going to drop that to Jungle Boy at some point. That they're going to revisit that whole program, and Christian will be able to Jungle Boy to get his first singles title win in AEW. That's look at Chris. Look at Chris throwing the layups, Nate.
Yeah, well, the Lakers are going to get swept.
Oh yeah, and they out, bro. It's just 1 minute left. Nuggets up by like what were they up at, like 9 or something, Chris?
They're up by 11.
11? Oh yeah.
And the Joker out here. Joker has killed Batman.
It's over, brother. It's like, man, you know they about to be killing LeBron on TV on the next couple of days.
Skip Bayless about to throw a parade.
Skip Bayless about to be.
He's getting destroyed. Somebody's getting traded from LA.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I don't know who it's going to be, but there's going to be at least 2 major trades.
You got to blame somebody. I ain't gonna blame LeBron.
Well, you can't blame LeBron.
You can't blame him anyway.
Look, I'm gonna say it. Andrew, love the brother. Brother's a top player when he's healthy. I would try to move AD. See what you can get for him. I would try to move AD. I would try to move AD.
Nah, man, not Anthony Davis. Try to move him.
Great player, but you can't depend on him, Andrew.
I mean, you
and he's your most valuable asset, right?
I haven't seen this game yet, so
you're not gonna get more for anybody else on this team than you would for AD.
I mean that's a fair point, but I mean, like I just feel like right now I think it might be best to keep him and Bron together, and especially because like you don't. What I think is gonna happen, I think that LeBron is waiting for Bronny to get out of the college. I think that whatever team gets Bronny, that's where LeBron gonna end up next, and then he gonna probably do 1 year or 2 years, and then he's gonna wrap it up.
San Antonio.
LeBron, man, with Victor, can you imagine? Oh my goodness, but they going for another, they going for a ship over there, man. Oh, but real quick, let's get back on the AEW predictions, man. We got the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal for the AEW International Championship. Orange Cassidy. Hello, let me say this real quick. Orange Cassidy is probably the best champion, like TV champion in AEW. Like, this dude has had like 20 something title defenses
Okay.
on TV, and bro, most of these matches have been like really good to great. And they're like really telling the story of Orange. Like you can see it weekly on Dynamite or on Rampage. You're literally seeing the story of shout out to Derek Crawford with the
shout out to DC for the super chat.
The $4.99 super chat. He ain't sent a message, but shout out to
he sent the message. I think he might have meant to do it there. So let's highlight his message.
Yeah, he said just checking in, y'all, my guys. Keep up the good work. Shout out to Derek, man.
Okay,
shout out to Derek.
Shout out to Derek. Yeah.
Shout out to Derek, man. But going back to Orange Cassidy, I do think that he is the best champion that AEW has right now. He's the best presented champion, I should say, because he's been like they're telling this story of Orange like going through these title defenses, and every week he's starting to like glide back, just starting to skate back. He's not like beating people definitively as he once was, and like I think that we're slowly getting to the point now where he's going to end up slipping up. And this Black Giant Battle Royal might be where he slips up, like he's been going through all these people, and now to the point where he can't do it no more, and he getting tired. Like he's literally saying it on TV in the interview segments when they afterwards. He's like, "I'm getting tired. I don't know how long I could, keep going with this." And bro, for him to have 20-something straight title defenses, bro, and like most of them have been like really good to great matches, like that. I think that says a lot about Orange and a lot about the people that he's in the ring with, and I also think that he has elevated the AEW International Championship past the TNT Championship.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I think if we're gonna do WCW comparisons, I think the international title is closer to like the United States title and the IC title in WWE, and then the TN title is like the WCW NWA Television Championship. Because like the TNT title gets like hot shotted way too much to take it seriously, and like guys are getting like one title defense before they lose it, not even carrying it for a full month. I do think Orange Cassidy is like, as far as secondary champions are concerned, he feels like the second most important title holder after MJF as far in the men's division.
Yeah. So for the match, I'm gonna say, it's right now in the match that we know of is I think it's Aaron Solo, Powerhouse Hobbs, and QC Marshall, and it's like 17 other people. So I mean, they might have some surprises in there. Somebody might pop up, and somebody might get the win. But I'm gonna say for right now, I'm gonna say Orange retains, and that'll be his last successful defense of the of the AEW International title.
Yeah, I agree, Andrew, because to me it would feel, unless you got somebody coming in that's like, oh snap, he's here,
big name.
Yeah. Like unless you got somebody like that showing up, like if LeBron shows up because he ain't got nothing else to do. Like if the King shows up.
I was about to say, if Leo Rush won, if he won the best of Super Juniors right now, killing it, that could be a name. He can. Hey, bro, real quick. Let me say this, bro. Did y'all see that clip of Leo when the people in the crowd handed their baby to him? Did you see that? Bro, New Japan, they took that down, bro. They struck that clip. I was like, what are y'all doing, bro? Like, why would you? Because they do that with all, like, it don't matter.
I don't blame them for that. You don't want like people thinking they could just hand their babies off to wrestlers and shit like that, man. Like I that's not a precedent I want to be setting. So I'm gonna.
What are you talking about, Chris? You mean if you wouldn't want to hand, if you had a son or a daughter, you wouldn't want to hand that beautiful baby boy or baby girl to MJF? You wouldn't want to do that, Chris?
Well, if I wanted to do something silly like that, I seriously doubt Patrice would be having that. So
okay, real quick, who are the wrestlers that we would trust with our baby if we had a baby? I say Sting. I would trust Sting to hold my baby.
Bianca,
definitely Bianca.
It'd be somebody like that. It'd be like Sting not Sting, Bianca,
Sasha.
I think she'd do a decent job.
Man, look, black women. I think that's the answer. Black women.
Yeah,
that's the safe answer.
Trinity.
Yeah,
there you go.
I trust Becky.
Black women and Sting. Those are the only people I'm letting hold my baby.
Black women and Sting.
Right. Yeah.
Cody.
Cody. Cody can hold the baby. Yes.
Yeah. Renee.
Yeah, Renee Paquette. There you go. Shit, Mox. You let Mox seem like a decent dude.
Daniel Bryan can hold. Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson can hold the baby.
But Orange Cassidy, that's a name. There you go.
Orange Cassidy. He's gonna
hold the baby with one hand.
Right, hold the baby with one hand.
So let's get back at these numbers.
Yes.
Not the predictions, man.
But yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. I think unless you got somebody that's a really big name, you got to have Cassidy go over in this one because it would feel kind of cheap, given the performances he's put on to have him lose the belt in this way. But it's like this. Yeah. It's kind of almost like getting back to comic books. You know, we talked about the Joker beating LeBron, but like there was a Batman story called Nightfall, which is the story where, spoiler alert, Bane breaks Batman's back.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
and the only reason Bane was able to really do that to Batman is because Batman had just like spent a week fighting all the criminals, like putting them back in jail, and so he was tired, Andrew, and so then Bane caught him slipping, and that was it. And I think that's kind of the story here with Orange Cassidy. Like he's gonna get through this, but just the wear and tear of all these title defenses is gonna catch up to him, and then that next person in a one-on-one matchup is gonna be the person to take the title.
What you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think Orange should probably win. Like I would like if it's a debut. Like one of my favorite things in the old WCW was Ravishing Rick Rude when Sting got injured. You'd remember this, Nate. This is before your time, Andrew, but Sting had gotten injured at the Halloween Havoc. And Rick Rude took advantage of that and beat his ass and took the U.S. title from him. I'd like to see Orange in a thing like that eventually.
Yeah, shout out to DC for another super chat.
He said vape bad for your lungs in Big E voice, Nate.
Yeah, that's metal in your lungs, brother.
Oh yeah. You get to watch those people.
So next up, we got the TBS Championship. Jade Cargill defending against Taya Valkyrie. Jade is currently 59-0, brothers. But I'm gonna say Jade retains over Taya, and then after this, Chris Statlander pops up, and then the next title defense, that's when Jade loses the TBS Championship. But she definitely gonna hit that 60-0 bar. It ain't no way they're gonna have her get to 59 and not hit 60. But I think that Chris Statlander makes her return. And then whatever next big event they have, or whatever, whenever they set that title match up, Chris gonna take the title, and then Jade is gonna cross over to the whatever they got going on with the Outcasts and the AEW Originals, and that's when she going be factored into that main AEW women's program that they got going on.
Yeah, I agree, Andrew. Like Taya's dope. Like Taya was dope in Mexico. Taya was dope in Impact. They did her dirty in NXT, I think, but she's just not at the level in terms of like the heat for this feud. I don't think it's at the level where if you were going to pull the trigger, you would. Besides, we talked about this with your boy Sid and Roman Reigns. Like numbers matter to, when you're telling stories. And so 60 is a good, nice round number to put behind this. Yeah. So, I think Jade wins. And I just hope it's a really good match that kind of showcases both of them. Because as we said, Jade has been improving in the ring, and we know Taya's legit.
I'm actually gonna
I put more metal into my lungs, Derek.
Oh, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, all this vaping going on out here.
Yeah, I actually am gonna go against the grain on this one and say Taya's gonna win.
Wow,
this match. I think.
Explain yourself, Chris.
Well, I just think that they're gonna elevate Jade to the world title thing, and with Jade, you don't necessarily have to mention the 60 record or the 59 record or whatever. You could just talk about the amount of years that she's had that belt for. And what are we going on right now? This is this year?
She in year 2 right now.
Yeah, so she's been a
year one because she won it in January 2022. So this coming up on 2 years. Somewhat.
Okay, cool. Okay, so they could do that with her. Like my biggest thing I don't like about Jade is I don't think she's been in a meaningful storyline since she's been in AEW. I think the most interesting stuff that she did from a storyline perspective was with Brandy Rhodes. I thought that could have gotten pretty good, you know what I'm
Shout out
saying?
to the
But
good
then-
sister Brandy Rhodes.
yeah,
When you a
yeah.
black belt,
yeah. People had a problem with that. I was fine with it because to me, this is like people got to understand about black people. They're like, even somebody sophisticated and refined like Brandy Rhodes, every black person has that part of them. You know, like it's probably for more people it lays more dormant in us, but we all got it, shit, you know. And I appreciated Brandy.
Code switching is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's very, very real, man. So
ain't Brandy from Detroit?
yeah, she is from Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's from the D. Yeah.
Stop playing with her, man. Stop playing with her.
her.
She's from Detroit, man. Stop playing with Brandy like that. But yeah, I think we all in agreement. What Chris said, he think they're gonna pull the.
Chris said
Chris
going
said-
for the upset.
Yeah, he think they're gonna rip it to tire. But yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen. But speaking about the women's championships, we got the AEW Women's World Title. We got Jamie Hayter defending against Toni Storm. Man, you know what? I'm gonna go with the upset on this one. I think that Toni is gonna win the belt back from Jamie.
Okay,
That's what I think. And she's gonna take that thing to the Outcast, and that's what's gonna go down.
Let me tell you what I think about this match, Andrew. I think it's a lot of people that's gonna be watching this match. It's gonna be me and you, your cousin, and your mama too. Rolling down the strip on Vogues, coming up, slamming Cadillac doors, give it to the Outcast. I'm going with Toni Storm in this one. I'm going with Toni Storm in that one.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like Paige, Ruby, and Toni, like they are heavily featured on all of these shows, right? But it's almost like, and I hate to say it like this, they're being booked like a WWE heel faction, where like we get you 1 week, you get us the next. We get you 1 week, you get us the next.
They get booked like Damage Control.
I didn't want to say it, but yes. And so they need something. And so I think that, you know, Jamie's been a good champion, but the Outcasts really need this one. So I say give it to Toni.
Yeah, you want them to feel like the anti damage control.
Damage Control
right?
for somebody actually has belts.
yeah, because Damage Control, nobody ever predicts them to win anything now. One thing I will say is that I think that
Hold on, Chris. Hold on. We got to get to this comment. Sir, Black Mega Man, how dare you, sir?
He said, yes, inside every black woman is the possibility of a bad promo.
Sir.
Yeah. Well, like
he wilding out, bro.
Yeah, can you even call that a promo? And my response to that is, what has what has Jade been in since she's been in AEW that's been better than that?
Right. That initial feud with Red Velvet and Brandy.
Yeah, because
that resulted in a match with Shaq. Even though Red Velvet was on the other side of the steel.
Yeah, there's nothing that she's done in AEW, like from a storyline standpoint, that's been better than that. So you could call it a bad promo all you want to, but it's what else has she fucking done? You know. And I'll wait. Yeah, if you could say something better. So say it with your chest and mean it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Professor After Dark on these streets.
It's funny you say After Dark is Chris. My bad, Chris looked like an informant.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out.
Alexa lights
brighter. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering what the hell was going on with that. Thank you for saying that.
Did Chris give a prediction on the match?
Yeah, I don't think he did because it's your prediction.
No, I think Tony's
gonna take it.
Yeah, it's gonna win it. Yeah.
So next up we got Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho in the unsanctioned match. I think that you know what, man? I think Chris Jericho gonna beat Adam Cole. I think he's gonna beat Adam Cole. That's what I think. I think that Jericho. I think that from just seeing Jericho feuds, I think that when you see him, when he's the one that's like getting when he's on the receiving end a lot, normally he's the one that comes out on top. And I think that even with last week when Roderick Strong got the best of him, Roderick Strong got the pin over him. Like I mean, but also within that same talking point, he put Eddie Kingston over at Revolution. But I mean, Jericho eventually got his lick back when they had that dumbass finish in that barbed wire area match. But I'm gonna say for this go around, I think that Adam Cole will eventually beat Jericho. But I think Jericho will get the first W over Adam Cole.
Yeah, I think that when you look at this might be one of the hardest matches to call on the card for me, Andrew, because I can make a good argument for either one to come away with the victory. Like, this is Adam Cole's first major match back, since he returned. So you would want to give him that victory to give him the momentum. But I do think this is not going to be a one and done with these two.
Now with Jericho.
No. So I think Jericho's going to get the first win, but Cole is eventually going to finish the story, to use Devontae's terminology.
So that's saying hurt my heart these days, man. Finish the story. Cody ain't finishing shit.
They didn't. Look, they're not even gonna let him fight for this new belt that they just made up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's hard times, brother. Hard times.
What you think? What you think of Chris Jericho, Adam Cole unsanctioned match?
So this is a silly storyline. I don't like it at all. I thought just the fucking Saved by the Bell kind of thing they did, or 90210. I'll say it was like 90210 level.
You talking about with the belt?
Yeah, where they were holding Adam Cole, and he's hollering for Britt. I'm sorry, baby. Come on, man. This is where people who don't watch wrestling, if they come into the room, they come into the room in that part. Yeah, they're gonna be like, "What is this silly shit you're watching?" They just did that in such a way.
Come on, Chris. Let it play out, Chris.
Yeah,
bro.
It just immediately took you out of it, right? So,
Brittany, yes.
To get people to
using
care
her
about
government.
Yeah. To get people to care about this, I do think Jericho needs to win, because
oh my goodness,
without Jericho winning this thing, I don't think you ever care about this feud. So get Jericho, and then just kind of tilt it away from that stupid shit. Have Jericho do something a little bit more like dastardly and. I just don't think Adam Cole, and this isn't a knock on him, but I just don't think you buy him in that role.
Bro, Adam Cole is a heel, bro.
I don't think his acting skills are not up to par. Like, who was really good at that shit back in the day was Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah,
he was so good at being sympathetic, to where if you were a non-wrestling fan and you walked in, like, I remember this one thing. I'm gonna try not to go off on a tangent, where the Dangerous Alliance were like out there and they're causing trouble, and Missy Elliott smacks him in the face,
Missy
and then
Hyatt.
Ricky's.
It
wasn't even Missy Elliott or Missy Hyatt. It was Medusa. It was Medusa.
Missy Elliott slapped Ricky Steamboat. Was like,
Medusa smacks.
Yes,
him in
it was
the face.
Medusa.
And then he instinctively smacks her back. And then once he snapped her, he realizes, oh, I smacked this girl, and he starts to feel like shit. And as the audience, you sympathize with them. And then the whole Dangerous Alliance beat him up and stuff. And then, like, even with Macho Man, he was always so good at that role. And Adam Cole is just not good at that stuff.
But with Adam Cole, I feel like So Adam Cole has always done great heel work, even before he was in WWE. When he was in ROH, he was doing some stuff with PWG or whatever it was. But Adam Cole has always been the most effective to me as a heel, and I feel like his presentation is always best when he's like that shit talker, like getting over on people, always crossing somebody over to get to elevate himself. I feel like that's Adam Cole's best. Hold on, wait a minute, Chris. Wait a minute. Like I feel like Cole, like I feel like that's always been him in the marquee, is when he's the one that's like the slimy, like the dance to the heel. Like he's always been positioned best when he's in that role. And I feel like even like I think that with this specific storyline, when you see Cole, I think that him being on the All Access show, they're trying to make him like feel like said the relatable guy, and he is relatable. Like if you see Adam Cole off screen and you see him do these interviews, he seems like one of the nicest people that you ever meet in his lifetime. He really does seem like a nice person. But I feel like Adam Cole is so good at being a heel that he's so associated with that it's hard for people to see him outside of that specific bubble. Yeah, you go ahead. Oh, wait, real quick. Let me read this, Chris. Black Mega Man said Cole's winning. I think they are setting him up for a title shot later this year. Oh yeah, he definitely challenged MJF. That's for sure. But yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I think, and I don't know if I would do that necessarily yet, but I'll more on that in a second. I think that Adam Cole is not somebody that is not a sympathetic baby face. He's like a badass baby face. If I was gonna like the level where if he's gonna be a baby face, he needs to be more like Randy Orton,
Hangman Page.
I think you could say that.
Don't slander this man.
I'm just saying
Hangman was out there knocking folks' head off.
But I think he needs to be like more. He needs to lean more on the anti-hero side,
right? Like an Orton or an Austin.
Than he does in this courting. Because I just can't never. If you did that with Randy Orton, it would be the silliest shit ever. Like I remember they tried to do that with Triple H, and that was silly, man. Like with Triple H, when Randy Orton had Stephanie, and he was like, if anything, it made you side with Randy Orton more because Triple H was so horrible at that. And I think you just got to cast people like where, like in like Sting, Ricky Steamboat, modern day, someone like like Hangman. I think Hangman Page would have did better at what's his name is Cole is doing than Cole. I think Hangman Page could pull off the sympathy a little bit better. Daniel Bryan can do it. That's not something that every babyface even needs to be fucking doing,
So go ahead, Chris.
No, I was gonna say, so if they are sympathetic, they got to be sympathetic in a way that still makes them look like a badass, like Steve Austin when he fought Bret Hart bleeding from the face and stuff.
So next up, we got the Anarchy in the arena. We got the Blackpool Combat Club taking on Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Willie Yuta taking on the reformed the Elite, back and forth, the Young Bucks, Nick Jackson, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Page is officially back on their side. You want what? This one, bro, I'm going to go, even though the Elite are back together, I'm going to say, nah, never mind. I think the Elite gonna get the done. I was about to say Blackpool Combat Club, then I remember Wheeler Yuta was in this match. He taking that pin. So like, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say the Elite gonna get the win on this one.
Yeah, no disrespect to Wheeler Yuta.
Shout out Wheeler Yuta, bro.
He love the brother, but he is in this match for a reason, not just because he's a talented performer.
Nate, he like some of the wrestlers on the New Japan undercards. Like when you see Los Ingobernables, their opponent, you got Naito, you got Hiromu, you got Shingo, and then you got Bushi. Bushi taking the pin. You know what I'm saying? So like that, I think that's kind of what this is in a way. Willer's gonna be all right though. He's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I think the Elite win, and Wheeler Yuta is getting kicked out of the Blackpool Combat Club for losing. I think they're gonna replace him with somebody that could pull off the asshole stuff. a little bit better than Wheeler Yuta, you know.
Missy Elliott.
So what you thinking, Nate?
I agree with you and Chris. Like, I do think like the Blackpool Combat Club can sustain a loss, particularly if you're talking about this thing, this elite, you know, story. And I would say, you know, I would weave this back into the Hangman Page of it all, because to me, the Hangman Page story is still probably the best story AEW has ever told start to finish. And this is kind of that coming full circle where he's like, all right, it's Bobby Brown coming back. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I went to Busch Gardens, Andrew, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, instead of just 3 people from New Edition, Johnny Gill walks out. And I'm like, oh, snap, Johnny Gill here. Michael Bivens comes out. He's running the show, Bell Biv DeVoe. Now you know, Andrew. And that's cool. And then all of a sudden, here comes Hangman Bobby Brown on stage. And it's like, damn, the whole squad back together. And I think that's why, you know, the elite have to win this. And I like Chris's idea of, you know, Wheeler being the fall guy, Wheeler being the you know, the dude that loses in this one, and then that forcing the Blackpool Combat Club to turn on him, start to eat their own, because then that makes, I think, you know, you talk about sympathetic baby faces. I think, you know, these dudes turning on Wheeler, that makes Wheeler super sympathetic.
Yeah, that's my idea. And then I could even see them like
like trying to make him earn his way back in or something like that.
No, not just kick him out completely, and then just bring in somebody like what's the guy's name that he was fighting in Jericho's thing?
Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, I think you could do a thing where like we worked out a deal where we
traded your ass.
Because and then Garcia's like, I am a wrestler, but I'm not the kind of wrestler that these guys are or something. And you can kind of like, because I think Garcia pulls off the asshole probably a little bit better than Wheeler. So I think that and you're turning on him because like, and you can make him like give them a reason to kind of do it, saying like, we turned on you because you did some like weakness, like
you ain't built for this life.
Yeah, you did some weakness. You know, you should have let like maybe like one of those guys is threatening to like hit him with something, and Wheeler Yuta gives up because of that, and then that's why they turn on him because he was too weak, and like you said, he's not built for this life, right?
Then let me ask you this: what song is going to be playing during the Anarchy in the Arena match? Whose theme song is going to be blasted? Because, you know, last year they had, I think they was playing Judas over the arena. Oh, they was playing Wild Thing over the arena.
Yeah. I was there live last year, yeah.
What song do you think they're going to be playing over the speakers this year?
I mean, Hangman's is dope, but I don't know if that's going to be the one.
I ain't trying to listen to that shit for 5 minutes, bro.
Nah, right. That's the thing. Like, not for 5 minutes.
8 minutes or whatever. I ain't trying to listen to that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that just go on repeat all the time?
Because I'm not even a big fan of that version of Wild Thing, but
right,
it goes with that kind of
theme.
Like it's like
for real. They should bring back Bryan Danielson's trap thing.
Account. Okay.
The Ride of the Valkyries So Deaf remix.
Oh yeah.
Just play that for the whole
fight.
Yeah,
I said I'd be cool with that. I liked remember back in the day when New Jack, they used to play Natural Born Killers when he would come out. Yeah, it just needs to be something that goes with
the theme of the match.
The match, It can't be something like just some whack ass theme. It's gotta be like, because like I said, I don't love Wild Thing, but for that setting,
right,
it really did work.
Yeah, and what's the elite? But I'm not trying to hit away with Sons.
Why not carry on my way with Sons.
No, that's a fucking like touching song too. You know,
that's some elevator. Like you step in the elevator, you go into the top floor.
Yeah,
that's playing in the background.
Yeah, that's a song about finding your way. It doesn't go with a fight, you know.
Maybe that should be Chris's job. Like if Chris can get a job with AEW, since he is like post wrestling resident wrestling music expert, having listened to Slam Jam Volume 1, Chris can pick the music for Anarchy in the Arena.
Will Washington, give me a holler, man. Holla at your dude.
Yo, he lob me up for the gig. He about to.
Yeah, I think we were due another CD. I'm trying to figure it out. Y'all let me know. Should we review the WrestleMania album? Should we review Macho Man's album?
Yo, what was the AEW joint like that Reg was a part of?
Oh, I think that was for the Black History project.
Yeah, the Black History, but yeah. Oh yeah. Just I'll put some options on Twitter, and y'all can
let the people decide.
Yeah.
I'm about to say in the main event of the night, fellas, we got a Pillars 4-way match for the AEW World Championship. We got MJF defending against Sammy Guevara versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. For me, just seeing the way this thing has turned out, I would have been perfectly fine with the Pillars 4-way taking place on Dynamite, and then we getting MJF versus Darby at the pay-per-view, because I feel like Darby is the only one that's really captivated my attention in terms of like being on par with MJF. I feel like MJF has gotten to be honest, like an unfair rap in this specific feud, because it feels like he has to carry Sammy and Jungle Boy up to his level. I think that, of course, Sammy and Jack Perry are good wrestlers, great wrestlers. I think they are very, very talented in ring. But when it comes to on the mic, I feel like Darby's been the only one that's been able to keep up with MJF and actually make people care. And honestly, I think a part of Darby's interest is the fact that if MJF were to beat him, where does that line up with Sting? And maybe we see Sting get his AEW World Championship match, and then maybe for real, Nate, I wouldn't be mad, bro, if it's Sting versus MJF at All In, and that'd be Sting retirement match, and then MJF retires Sting. I wouldn't be mad at that, bro. Yeah, I really would, because Sting, and this is not something where people try to write off Sting. Sting has said this publicly, like he said, like this year, bro, I'm. Like, it's over. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And again, this ain't no thing where people trying to write him off. He has said this publicly. So, like, so if this is going to be Sting's final swan song, what better way than to get that man an AEW World Championship match? And then after MJF beats Sting, the week after that, they got All Out. And if you want to go out with a bang at All Out, what better way, Nate and Chris, than to have Eddie Kingston take the strap off MJF the next week after he beats Sting, and you give Eddie Kingston this big crowning moment in All Elite Wrestling? What a way. What a way. Because, I mean, and then you got the story that when MJF having to have 2 title defenses back to back in a pay-per-view, because he already, the story, he doesn't wrestle that much. So him being put in that situation and then going against Eddie, but the crowd gonna be crazy for that. They got your story ready made right there. But what you think about the build up to this match, Nate, and who you think will come out on top? Again, I think MJF gonna win, of course, but what you think, Nate?
Tell you what, man, we thought this brother's name was Andrew Thompson. Turns out, Chris, this man's name is Gordon Ramsay. young fella out here cooking. Cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, Andrew. I like that a lot. I think the match is going to be good. Like, all 4 of these dudes can go. Like, the match itself is going to be good, maybe even great. But when you talk about the story, I think the Sammy Darby, the Darby MJF stuff has been the biggest, most resonant part of the story,
right?
Because again, it's contrast. You know what I mean? It's the contrast of this dude MJF, this guy that is this privileged prick, and this dude Darby that's like the outcast, and not the outcast that keep losing on this program, but like the outcast of society. And he's got this father figure in Sting, and like I like that confrontation a couple of weeks ago where Sting and Darby, where Sting and MJF had that promo back and forth, and so that is to me that's the heart of this match, Chris. But I do think that when you got Sammy and when you got Jungle Boy, Jungle Jack Perry, as JR would call him out on these streets, in the match, like they're going to add to it. And, I think this would be the counter argument to your point earlier about AEW not really landing with a lot of its homegrown talent.
They trying. Sometimes they just don't deliver.
Sometimes it just doesn't hit. But I think with these 4, to varying degrees, they've hit on these 4. And so I think it's going to be a good match. I think MJF retains. I don't think Darby eats the pin, though, because I think this is a match, a one-on-one match you can go back to down the line. If Andrew's wonderful meal that he cooked up doesn't come to fruition, because I do like that idea of MJF retiring Sting.
Man, come on, man.
And then Eddie winning the belt off of MJF. That's great.
I actually look at this slightly different.
Okay. Speak on it, Chris.
I don't think MJF is gonna win. I think that Darby Allin is gonna win by pinning Sammy Guevara. And then I think it's gonna start a feud between Sammy Guevara and MJF, and then MJF is going to be able to say, I never lost the belt or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then Darby Allin, I could see him either like losing the belt right back to MJF after a couple of weeks. The only reason why I'm saying this is because they need something for WBD. Because I think they owe WBD some kind of solid. Mm-hmm. I think they did a 800,000 viewers again this past week. Mm-hmm. I think they need to hit that million this week. I think if you could get the belt on Darby in a way that's not gonna disrupt your storylines like too drastically, right? I think you go on ahead and do that, and just see where it goes. But I'm gonna go against the grain, and I know I'm probably wrong, but I just don't want to pick MJF. Not in this situation. I want to say Darby, and they go for the cheap ratings pop for a week.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens.
Okay.
That's the conclusion of the Double or Nothing match, fellas. So we will see what happens next Sunday. And they going head to head with NXT Battleground. Well, not head to head, but I think it's on at like similar time or something like that. Like maybe and I think Battleground will be off like halfway through Double or Nothing or something like that. So we'll see. That WWE trying to counter program. They're using Sean developmental counter program. But brother Nate, that's all we got for the news, brother.
We did it. Thank you, Andrew Thompson.
Look at that, under 3 hours.
The news this week, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we want to be wary and mindful of Chris's time. He's going through a lot right now, man. This man, the mayor of LA, pretty soon we can call him Cancun Chris. Andrew.
Chris.
He's gonna be out here
over.
vacationing.
This shit is over, man. Let's not.
You're not even saying it's gonna be a gentleman's sweep. It's gonna be a sweep.
Look, man.
Lakers packing the chat.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that like look. The Denver Nuggets were better this year. I didn't see the game, but I'm not about to get on these streets and blame the refs like a fucking bitch. Like I'm gonna give the Nuggets their props.
Wow,
because the Nuggets
are legit
better. Yeah, it's that simple. All right,
they're the higher seed for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the Lakers, and look, they overachieved this year. They need to move some parts. It just is what it is.
Man, Chris. Hey, but you know what, Chris? If we've learned nothing from wrestling booking, so LeBron loses this chance at a ring. Adam Silver's going to come out next week and create a new NBA title that LeBron can go after.
Right.
Cancun.
Right. The Cancun championship that LeBron can go after.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great.
Right. Yeah. You know what, Nate? I do need to say this to you. Because there was a time, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but when they had Lesnar beat Undertaker for the streak, and most of us people on the law at that time and online were saying, yeah, we understand this. Brock Lesnar, they were burying him. This win is gonna help Brock Lesnar. And you were the one person who said, I would have given it to Roman because I think there's more of an upside with Roman Reigns. And people were saying, Nate, you're wrong and stuff like that. And then what happened is history has proven you right.
Mm.
On that. And that's the funny thing about hindsight and history is sometimes it's like in that moment, you might not necessarily be right, but hindsight has proven you right because at the end, they still ended up having Undertaker beat Roman Reigns beat Undertaker at WrestleMania anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And Brock Lesnar, you know, they could have rehabbed him in another way. It wasn't like necessary for Lesnar to beat that streak. I think Roman would have gotten way more out of that. And I say all that to say this Cody Rhodes thing, it's still stupid. They should have went with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. They have not made a counter argument.
Hey, Chris, you want to know what's crazy? It's like as the weeks go by, it's more evident that Cody should have won the title. Like, it's funny because like you would think at some point over the coming weeks, like it'd have been like, okay, maybe that was the right choice. But it's like as the weeks go on, it becomes more clear. It's like you're seeing it more clear that Cody should have won the title. Like, especially when he did that whole promo thing about how the breakdown of the bloodline was happening. I don't understand why that couldn't happen while Cody is world champion, and then you have Roman trying to like regain some type of self-esteem by going out to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's tag titles. Like it's I don't know, bro. But
and it's
hey, Chris, let me ask you this real quick. I'm give you the camera on Chris. Nate, Chris. I wanted to actually ask you this. Like, do you think they're gonna run it back in SummerSlam, and do you think they'll be able to recapture that same atmosphere that they had at Mania?
Nah, they're never recapturing that atmosphere at WrestleMania. You can feel it in the city. I didn't even go to WrestleMania that year, but every event I went to, like that was Cody Rhodes' time, and they did not go with it. You know what I'm saying? This kind of silliness, this overthinking that WWE sometimes does. It makes no sense. Like, I really don't know why they did it that way. It was an illogical conclusion to that story.
I'm about to say it's going to be even pointless if they like. It's going to be like, well, why would you do it at SummerSlam? Why would you do it at Mania?
Yeah, and I think, and I've heard people say that they've liked the stuff with the Usos and Roman, and it's been okay. But I mean,
that shit getting old now, bro.
You could have gotten to that same place with Cody winning.
Exactly.
It
would have made more sense.
Yeah, it would have made a lot more sense. Like, why would like Roman? I mean, I guess you could give him the those belts. You know, I mean, I don't know. This is just the thing is you have to. Anytime you got to twist yourself out of logic pretzels to explain a storyline, probably means it's not you did something that you probably shouldn't have done. And there's just way too many like people like you have to come up with like reasons and excuses that make no sense. And you have to say, well, if Cody does this or if Cody does that, or if it's like.
But one of the things I'm constantly seeing from like Road Dogg and like a couple other people like Steve Austin, they make these points that like, well, if Cody wins the belt, then where does he go from here? Dumbass. He has Gunther to go back on. You got the McIntyre, you got the running back with Seth Rollins, you got AJ, you got the X, Y, and Z, you got all these different people that you could run these matches back with.
So many fresh matchups.
You got Solo, you got a possible match with Sami Zayn down the line. You got so many people that you can run these storylines with Cody with. Like, bro, I wish they would just admit that, bro. It was just a wrong call.
It was a bad call.
It was a bad call, bro. It was a bad call.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
Real quick, Chris. Like, I'm gonna keep my comments short because when I said, and I appreciate you, stating for the record and letting the people know that I was right about that Undertaker Brock Lesnar match, much like I'm right about this Cody Rhodes situation, much like I will be right about the good brother Omos. I'm on the right side of history with the Homo sapiens, but the decision to not put the belt on Cody, like the booking here, the booking is something that just makes you say, huh? When Cody Devontae Rhodes, Andrew, that man.
Oh man,
that man.
The shirt
makes you say,
right.
The shirt.
Nah.
And I will say this about
Cody. Lead us up here while you talk, Chris.
Yeah, leave it up. I will say this about Cody is Cody didn't lose and just automatically drop off, you know? He's still kind of maintaining his relevancy.
Yeah.
I do think,
in spite of the booking,
right? And I don't.
Hey, Chris, do you think who you think gonna win the match with him and Brock and Night of Champions? And do you think Cody gonna win Money in the Bank, and that's how they're gonna get to him and Roman again?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I hope that's what happens. That's what I would do. But I could see WWE doing some kind of bull crap where they give it to somebody else. I think that Roman is like I said, I cannot sit through this until Philadelphia. I just can't do it. I've been like I haven't been watching WWE as a whole. I haven't watched a whole episode of Raw or SmackDown since that happened. I watched the clips, and I'm what I do is I make myself conversational about WWE for this show, but I'm not gonna sit through this Roman Reigns crap for another year. So I'm not gonna be watching a full episode of Raw or SmackDown until this crap is over with, you know. But I do hate when WWE does this kind of thing though, because they've been doing this for forever, man. They always they don't book something that they should have booked, and then they end up doing it anyway.
They're trying to reverse engineer WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, like they did that. Like I remember when they had Edge was on like a mini winning streak, and then they just had to they blew it in a Money in the Bank match, you know, had him lose and break the streak. And it's like he should have eventually fought Undertaker in a streak versus streak match. And then the very next year, they had him fight Undertaker, and Edge didn't have the streak anymore. It's like, why do you do this kind of shit? You know what I'm saying? And this is just a constant thing with WWE. It's not a new thing because they did it with Luger. Like I said, I've said on another show, I've met Lex Luger twice. Once when I was a small kid, like that was like 13 years old, and then another time when I was 16 years old. When I met Lex Luger when I was 13 years old, Lex Luger does not like children. Or that version of Lex Luger.
Don't hand Lex Luger your babies.
He wouldn't know what to do with that thing. I don't think Lex Luger hates children. He just doesn't love them. He's like, get your snotty nose out my fucking face. And then and then 3 years later, I met him, and I was a little bit more older. I had just got my driver's license, and he was nicer when I met him. But he still had better things to do than fuck with fans. He was like,
sorry, kids, I got to go pick up my Ico Pro.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this to bash Lex Luger. I'm just
Shout out to Lex Luger.
Yeah, because I like Lex Luger. I'm just saying, like, his personality wasn't probably the best suited for the world championship. You could make that argument on a logical level at least. Brett was way more suited for those kind of roles, like Cena is, and you know, The Rock, all those people. I really, really, really need WWE to end this bloodline stuff, because like I also said on another show, the bread was perfect. You know, if you taken the bread out of the oven at WrestleMania, you would have had some nice, perfect bread where you just put butter on it, and then the butter instantly melts, and you bite into it, and it's mouth-watering and delicious. And
I'm hungry now.
Like a Thomas English muffin with the nooks and crannies.
Something like that.
I'm hungry now. Then we got wrap up this podcast, man.
But they left the bread in the oven too long, and now you're scraping the burnt off that shit. You're fucking looking for the edible parts of it, and it's just not good anymore.
If Chef Andrew Thompson cooked the bread, it would have been great.
Right. Yeah, you have to figure out what you're gonna do with that, man. Maybe I can make some stuffing out this shit. I don't know, but it's they gotta move on past the bloodline. It was good in its moment. You gotta move on past it. You know, you're not New Japan. New Japan has found ways to refresh the Bullet Club multiple times.
That shit
you're not gonna do that.
So what you're saying, Chris? Hold on. It's all coming together now. So to refresh the bloodline, much like the Bullet Club, Jeff Jarrett needs to join the bloodline. Is what you're saying, Chris?
I think anything would be better than maybe have Jeff Jarrett take over the bloodline. I don't know. They got to do something.
That might be problematic, dog.
Like the only way you can refresh the bloodline is just add new members.
Just bring Dwayne in.
Yeah, bring other island folks to it. You know,
The Rock's daughter.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, something like that. Because this is played out now.
Real quick, Andrew, because Black Mega Man did bring up a great question in the comment. Because you just slandered that Cody Devontae Rhodes, make him say shirt. Would you rather wear that or the Britt Baker black eye shirt?
Oh, the Cody shirt.
Easily the Cody shirt.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Brad,
what you trying to do to us over here, man? You trying to have us walk down the street with a white woman with
a black eye,
black eyes? That is not happening on these NWA streets. So, the fuck you trying to get us beat down and whatnot? Like you trying to
that's the setup. You passed the test, Andrew. You passed the test.
You trying to get us carried on these streets? Nigga? Who asked that question?
I would
you know who it was?
Like
Black Mega Man. Shirt. He cutting up in the chat.
No, don't ask that kind of stuff. Don't ask us that kind of stuff, man. Hey.
But yeah.
I say Chris answered that shit for me. I ain't even need to answer.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna get you a different shirt though for your birthday, Andrew. I'm gonna get you the Cody MLK Malcolm X shirt for your birthday.
I ain't wearing that shit either.
Wear that to the Black History Museum in DC.
Yeah. Who was that white man with Malcolm X?
Speaking of history, Nate, this episode was history. Woo. And I like how Chris was talking about with his when he was making his food analogies. I'm about to go make history in the kitchen. So let's go ahead and
let's wrap it on up. So Andrew, you talked about what you serving up in the kitchen, but talk to these people about what you serving out here on Post Wrestling and on Andrew Thompson interviews, brother.
Yeah, man. You check out my written work over at postwrestling.com, man. Got a lot of good stuff coming out. Always got some very information filled news updates. So go check those out. I'm gonna make sure to post one tomorrow before the New Japan resurgence. I'm gonna be covering that show on the site. So go support your boy, man. I think I got about like 6,000 some plus articles up on the site.
Okay.
Put pushing towards 7,000, man. So yeah, we gonna see what's going on with that. And then on the Andrew Thompson interviews YouTube channel, I'm putting up clips of some past interviews. And that was doing doing something decent. I was kind of surprised to see some of the nice little feedback to that, man. It's still something small, but we moving the way up. So yeah, I'm proud of that. And yeah, follow me on Twitter at @ADThompson __ and same thing on Instagram.
All right. That's the nephew, the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson. Post Wrestling, Andrew Thompson interviews. Talk this man out here talking to Christian Cage, talking to Double J. Ain't he great?
Ain't he great? Shout out to Double J, next AEW World Tag Team Champion.
And speaking of championships, a man who won't have a championship this year to celebrate. Sorry, Chris.
The Cancun Championship.
Yes, you're going to get the new World Championship that Adam Silver creates for LeBron and Embiid to fight over.
Yeah, I'm not going to Cancun after the way they did that sister out there and all that. But
what will you be doing, Chris? And where can people find what you will be doing?
All right,
when you do it.
So I'm gonna work on my next WrestleNomics article for the month of May. What I'm actually gonna write about, I haven't really decided yet. I really did like my April argument, though, about privilege in wrestling. And what I love the most about it is it pissed off a lot of white wrestling fans. A lot of racist white wrestling fans.
Yes, I think that's an important qualifier.
Yeah, and then and the best opinions are opinions that you could back up with facts.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it took me 12 hours to write that article, because all I did that night when I wrote the article is look for receipts on WWE and their stereotyping and like just questionable storylines, you know. So I'm talking about
of which there are many.
And there's we had to edit it down because there's so many. So I love that article. Just read the comments. If you don't believe me about the people talking shit, read those comments, man. And I'm not a hot take person. I just like, look, man, it just cracks me up when people, shout out to T. Anthony. Yeah. It just cracks me up when people are mad at you for the right reasons, right?
Yes. Chris was like that Hannibal Buress gift. Like, why are you booing me? You know I'm right.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Like if someone had like a legitimate criticism, I take that stuff seriously and I would agree with it. But all the stuff was like, what are you talking about, man? And blah, blah, blah. Why are you accusing WWE? You know, just get over yourself. But yeah, KM Easy does it on Twitter. It's not up on the screen because I don't even know why that handle is there. But we'll fix that on the next episode. And I'm just great to be on for another month. And Lakers we got next year, so chill. I would have given LeBron all the praise in the world if he would won it this year at number 7, and that would have been the story for the ages.
What could have been? What could have been?
Could have been.
You know, hard times breed better men, Chris. So
yeah,
we'll
if he comes back and wins 4 in a row,
with Wembanyama.
Yeah, right.
San Antonio.
Yeah. I'd be like, look, man, I'd tell my students, we're taking the month off of school this month. Everyone gets an A, and that'd be the end of that. Yeah.
As for me, there's a couple places you can find me. One of those places you can find me, you can also find Chris, and that is as I do my own camera work. Bam, Kings of Sport Podcast. Just find us on Patreon. I'm just gonna leave this here like blatant product placement on Post Wrestling's airwaves. Shout out to John Away. But Kings of Sport, we're in our 10th year of podcasting. Started with me, Marcus Vanderberg, and Redacted. Then it was me and Marcus for a long time. And once Marcus left, it was me and a rotating group of hosts. And now Chris is officially the co-host here at the Kings of Sport podcast. And so it's great to have him on board. Great to bring on a brother like Ray Williams on board. You can cop this shirt sometime in the near future whenever we figure out the logistics of marketing and merchandising and setting up stores and all that stuff. But Kings of Sport, and I'll tip the camera back. I'm doing my own camera work. People do my own stunts on these streets. Kings of Sport podcast, you can find us at kingsofsport.com. You can find us at Podbean. You can find us on Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're listening to this in the future, you can find the Kings of Sport. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/the Kings of Sport, $5. That's all, Andrew, $5.
Get you in the
door.
Yeah.
But if you want to pay more, we're not going to stop you. It's a free country. We're not going to stop you. You grown-ass men and women out there. You can do what you want to do. You can spend your money how you want to. So head over to Patreon, support the Kings of Sport, over 300 hours of audio and video, wrestling, sports, politics, pop culture, MCU reviews, a lot of fun stuff over there with a lot of your favorite people like Andrew and like Chris. NWA Podcast started on the on the Kings of Sport Patreon. So check that out. I'm also on the Lituation Room, which is a part of the Multiverse of Color. We talk a lot about superhero stuff and sci-fi stuff. So there's so many things to talk about. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the Flash movie, that's actually a Batman movie because WBD doesn't want to acknowledge their troubled star of the Flash movie, but that's not a here nor there. Head over to
I'm about to say, Nate, real quick, that man Seth Rollins in the Marvel movie.
Yes, Seth Rollins on these streets getting these Marvel checks, and I think they were saying Becky Lynch might be headed to the MCU here pretty soon.
For real?
Yeah, that's the rumor. That's kind of the buzz going around. So yeah, man, I love it when these wrestlers make moves outside of the business because the more opportunities they have outside of this business, then that just makes them that much more valuable inside of the business, and they can be respected a little bit more. But yeah, for any of that superhero, sci-fi, geeky stuff, if you want to hear black people talking about that and just geeking out about this stuff, head over to Multiverse of Color. Check that out, the Lituation Room. The other things I'll promote, of course, back here, Post Wrestling. Rocky Maivia Picture Show, y'all.
Uh-oh.
It's been gone for a minute, Andrew, but you never know when The Rock might pop up. You know what I mean? Some people predicted The Rock would pop up at WrestleMania. He didn't. But you never know.
I never predicted The Rock. I said I always qualified it with if, and that's still true.
In the words of that man, Jerry the King Lawler, if wishes were fishes, the world would be an ocean, my brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Post Wrestling, they've been good to us. We've been good to them, man. Y'all shout out to that good brother John N.W.A for sharing the platform, because not a lot of people are generous with their platforms, and John N.W.A gave us an outlet that we could talk with y'all live each and every month here on Post Wrestling and get feedback from y'all and have y'all join in the conversation. So that's cool. But everything else involving Nate, follow me on Twitter at N8 MOZAIK at Nate Mosaic on Twitter. And fellas, we did it. That is the end of this month's edition of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the NWA Podcast. We'll be back next month for a fun episode where I'm sure he can't find a way to stay out of these NWA streets.
We'll be talking about Phil Brooks somehow, some way.
We'll be talking about the Muffin Man next month, but
about to say this podcast right here, all about podcasts, was better than anything that CNN had with that Trump town hall bullshit.
That was a quick. Yeah, I think that's why the AEW thing is important to them at the moment, because that CNN thing, the town hall, it didn't get them the ratings that they wanted it to get them. They got them high ratings for that night, and then their ratings have been tanking ever since then. So WBD needs a hallelujah.
Yes, Phil Brooks. This man, Phil Brooks, he's huge. He's a big star. He eats many muffins, only the best muffins in the world, Andrew.
Is that the Trump impression?
I was trying to do a Trump.
No, that was decent.
I tried to do a Trump.
That was
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, I'll take it.
That's a nice rating right there. 7 out of 10. That's nice. A little generous.
Yeah, it's a little generous, but hey, I'll take it. But speaking of generous, going back to John N.W.A, follow everything here on Post Wrestling, man. Not only the NWA podcast, not just Rocky Maivia Picture Show, but check out all of the programs over the multitude of platforms that Post provides the Post family. Shout out to Braden and Davey, Rewind to Raw, Rewind to SmackDown, Rewind Away. I think they just dropped the new Rewind Away recently with Karen Peterson talking about AJW, which was great. Postmarks is on fire, yo. This man Brent Chittenden out here on this Postmarks, the latest episode of Postmarks. Peep that. Brent Chittenden, friend of the program. So
Bush being Thompson in the archives.
The Bush being Thompson archive.
I ain't gonna say too much, but Bush being Thompson in the archives.
The Bush being Thompson archives. Y'all, yes, that show was too good to last, Andrew.
You was the first guest.
You know what I'm saying? I started it off.
And to bring the ratings, we had to start the ratings off half.
The proper rate. But yeah, man, follow everything from Post and the people associated with Post. Good people doing good work. And thank y'all for listening and watching. If you stayed up with us and watched live, we do this every month, y'all. So this is how it is. We had this kind of fun every month. So thank y'all for watching, and we're going to do it again next month. So for the youngest in charge, this man, Andrew Thompson, the chef on these streets. For Cancun Kris Ealy.
Nuggets and foe. Nuggets and foe.
Ready to watch the Nuggets and Heat on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
I am the Godfather, Nate Milton. And remember, the revolution may not be televised, but it damn sure will be podcasted. See y'all in June.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off kilter, the professor, the godfather, host wrestling the NWA, not keep guessing, the views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message, advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again, black wrestling in the ring we invested in, Nubian kings and queens we invested in, it's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.